There's a lot of stuff that works out. Everything is. Yeah, so but I'm thinking
We're live. Thanks.
Danielle,
Yeah.
should we make an announcement?
Yes.
Sign up.
Yeah, I am. Because that's one of us.
Yeah, because I didn't know which ones.
We're
Do you want me to sit there and tell people as I come
Yeah,
up with?
yeah, sure. Thanks, Maury. You ready? Hello, welcome to the November Queens Community Board 2 meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight it is right in front of me. So if you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Maury,
Well, pledge allegiance.
we're going, okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So before we get started, I just want to say there are sign-up sheets up here at the table. If you are an elected official or work for an elected official, or if you want to make public comment, or if you want to comment on any of the hearings that we're having, Mercedes, on tonight. And we are going to get started with comments from elected officials. And we actually have one here tonight who used to be a member of this board, Assemblymember Raga.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Raga. It's good to be back in person. This is my first year, or the first time I'm on this side of the microphone. I'm usually at this time trying to find where my name tag is over there. I think I joined in online on February or January, but I wanted to take time and give a few updates. I know my chief of staff Victoria usually does it, but I want to come by and when I can join. I just got back from DC. I took part in Senator Gillibrand's policy summit today. I left at 2 to get here on time, but few updates from our office. We've hosted multiple outreach and office hours in the community. We try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week because our office is in kind of with the redistricting in the corner now in Maspeth. So we're out in Woodside, Elmhurst, and Jackson Heights pretty regularly, so we can make sure that folks can get the services they need. It might have been mentioned previously, but our office at any day we have staff that can speak in language in Spanish, Hindi, Tagalog, Nepali, Polish, and there's two more. A lot. Right now, we're also gearing up for for Albany, which is going to take us away again from. We're going to have a week-long retreat in first week of December. But then from same thing, January to June, we'll be mostly in Albany. Our priorities right now for our office, as we're doing the outreach and talking to a lot of our constituents. Number one, definitely trying to finalize some legislation, working with other folks on dealing with flood mitigation and infrastructure. It's a repeat issue. Right now, the way the redistricting is, Assembly District 30 used to go all the way out to LIC. Now it's kind of just east of St. Sebastian on 58th going east. But still, within that area, it's repeat in Jackson Heights and Woodside and Maspeth. So, and whatever, even if you live outside of the geographical jurisdictions of 8030, please let us know what we can do, because it impacts all other communities anyway, and it's similar issues, and we should be doing this together anyway. So please reach out if there's any issues on that or suggestions. Secondly, I'm the co-chair on the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Asian Caucus committee on housing. So housing is always our priority, affordable housing for all. Last year, we came back from Albany kind of empty-handed there on putting New Yorkers on a better situation. We're trying to be more proactive this time around, and so we could make sure we're scoring some points and making it easier to live here and live and not being forced to move. So that's always been a priority of us. And lastly, or at least thirdly, one of our priorities is how we can help our nonprofits more and more when especially in our recent years, nonprofits have to bear the brunt of supporting a lot of our communities, especially those in need, and especially those that might not find those resources anywhere else. But when those contracts are given or awarded, they don't necessarily come by immediately. So you could have that support to increase that funding, right? Even though you need the support now, not in 3 years. For those who know, my previous job before this role is I was an executive director for Woodside on the Move, and I remember I was waiting on contracts from like 6 years prior before I even got there. And I'm like, how is this the case? And it directly impacts services that we could be giving to our community, whether bolstering programs, doing more outreach, finding more full-time or part-time staff. Those things are needed sooner than later. So we're trying to see if we could figure out a way to help in that regard as well. For our upcoming projects or community projects, we're definitely going to be having a turkey drive. And if those who want to participate, or if you know places in need, particularly maybe schools or nonprofits, or just maybe buildings that might need turkeys for the holidays, please let us know. We're always also going to be doing a toy drive and then a clothing drive as well as time goes on. But I think that's pretty much all my stuff. Just an update, I guess, for me, for those all, just so we know of interest. In Albany, I sit on a few committees. I'm on Banks, Agriculture, Social Services, Government Operations, which is the one I really wanted, and I got it, and Veterans. And as of 3 weeks ago, I'm also on Labor. So I'm on some pretty good ones. So if anyone needs any, has any ideas or any questions, feel free to reach out.
So we will take questions from board members. I have a question to start. There are 3 climate bills, all about funding or making a just transition to, non-fossil fuel energy.
Yep.
The state Senate passed them last year. Will the Assembly and you actively be working to get those passed this year? Yes,
me always actively working to make sure that happens. I know we were kind of stuck we had a 1-week extension in June for the Assembly to pick up some last minute bills. Those were not on the table. So we have to catch up to the Senate on not just environment, but a few other pieces of legislation as well. So I'll do everything I can, but we have to not just pushing it out there on social media, but it's also just making sure that our colleagues there are in support too, because we want to make sure that we have that internal support to put it to a vote, so that when it's a vote, it's there, it's done, and then we could move along. But definitely my full support on that package.
Thank you. I'll start with Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. I also appreciate recognition of the connection we have, even though we might be in different districts. And I'd like to connect one item that is affecting us in the municipal section of Board Office. That is sewer lines that lead to a district and come through. And I'm speaking specifically about sewer lines that lead underneath the the state project underway for the all of that would be there, would diagonally under the cemetery and enter walk through the system in Lisbon. Since May, we've been suffering with more sewage entering our basements in unprecedented form. We're trying to deal with DEP, no one has responded to us. I ask you, the permeable surface over there, why does all that water have to come to Lisbon on its way to the water treatment plant? Flooding our basements with water.
For sure, I think that's something that we'll reach out to DEP and loop you in. I think that it's unfortunate, but it's also wrong. I feel like Blissville gets the short end of the stick pretty repeatedly, or often. So definitely we'll circle back and work on you and give you some updates for the next month. Yeah.
Seeing the sewer lines, most sewer lines in Western Queens come through Blissville on the way to the water treatment plant.
For any of the info that you already have, if you could just, we'll circle offline and so I can check it out. Thank you.
I'm going to ask anyone who has a question to use the mic so that the recording can hear it. Thank you.
Hello, Assembly Member.
Hello.
I'm asking about two bills. One that I know you've supported in the past that's kind of sits dormant in the Assembly. It has to do with removing, it has to do with gender equity and disability, short-term disability insurance, which we've spoken about before. For folks who don't know, right now, small businesses, all businesses are required to carry short-term disability insurance. However, most businesses are paying 2 to 3 times more for people who they define as females over males. And so a number of us in the Senate has passed this every single year. Now we have a new chair of insurance. Weapons still chair?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just looking for your help to get this passed because it's one more of those little things that makes women more expensive, or those who are defined by the employer, no less, because we can't ask. So there's so many things wrong with it. Still with us?
Yeah.
Are you going to help me chase David down?
Yeah. I'll text him right now. No, I mean, I'll
You tell me when
I'm seeing him in a few days anyway. I'm going to inquire a bit. At the very least, we could inquire with his legislative director to see what's the update on that and where we could do to help bolster support.
Great, because that affects, the second question is a bill that affects nonprofits is a place at the table. This is to raise the lobbying threshold for nonprofits, so they don't have to register to be lobbyists if they spend what is the equivalent of $2,500 or $5,000. So I know you're familiar with it. And so many of us working with Nonprofit New York and Nikon, et cetera, are trying to raise that cap. I personally think should be eliminated and it should be just defined if that is your full-time job. But where do you stand on that?
I would be in full support.
So we'll reach out for that.
Please reach out. So also, I was kind of, for those that remember, I was a chief of staff at the State Assembly. Right afterwards, I was a Northeast Regional Director for Policy for Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. So I had to work, I was a registered lobbyist for healthcare policy on 11 states in the Northeast, except New York, because I had a 2-year revolving door. So 100%, I think that makes sense. It's something I'd support. So thanks for flagging.
Thank you, Benjamin Lucas. So I have a quick question. As I'm trying to become less uninformed about solution to unaffordable housing, I've learned that there are places, not just in the world, but in the US as well, where there is housing that is built by non-for-profit developers. Is there any regulation that's been worked on at the state level to help favoring, to some extent, the development of buildings by non-for-profit developers in order to solve the housing crisis that we have? Because the luxury towers that keeps on popping up, which have some extent of legally affordable housing, which is really unaffordable to most people, is not going to really solve the problem. Thank you.
No, thank you, Benjamin. I don't have the full details on that. A large part is because the conversation we had in Albany regarding housing was for like big points. The main priority we had was good cause eviction and a few other policies that we were trying to push through the budget. And on the budget, we didn't get anything legislatively in June as well. So folks were talking about that, but it wasn't in the top points of conversation. I'm interested to learn more, so I'm going to go circle back, figure it out. And if I could get your information, I'll circle back maybe early next week, because I have a meeting regarding that anyway. So, but thanks for bringing that up.
Should I email your office?
I'll give you my card on the way over. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Assembly Member. I am wondering if the bank committee governs CDFIs as well?
Yes.
In that case, is there some process by which the bank committee might consider ways that new CDFIs can be created? Essentially, in order to become a CDFI, you have to, which by the way, Community Development Financial Institution, just laying it out. In order to do that, one has to demonstrate their lending abilities and their past lending experience and things like that. But like small, like POC-led organizations such as mine, and governed as well, we have to find money in unrestricted funds to be able to demonstrate that before we can even apply to become a CDFI, before we're even eligible for the CDFI, like technical assistance funds, right? For the emerging CDFI program. And so I'm just wondering what y'all might be doing to make it less difficult for communities of color to lend to their neighbors.
For sure. I mean, that's a high hurdle to climb before you could even get the ball rolling. Right now, I haven't been flagged of any piece of legislation that might directly discuss what you're talking about. But when you're saying is the banks, what do you do as a banks committee? It's this. So we go out there and there's a good bill. If there's wording on it, or if you saw other states or municipalities that have a similar program or put that policy change, we could help. I'm open to drafting something that can help directly tackle what you're discussing, and then put it through Banks Committee. I literally sit next to Pam Hunter, the chair of Banks, next to me. So she's my friend. I mean, just to nudge her a bit and say this is a priority, at least downstate, because I'm sure it's the same thing upstate.
Hey, really quick. I'm just wondering what role your office is playing, if any, in the LIC comprehensive planning thing that Julie Wan's office kicked off.
Oh, yeah, sure. So this is, I think the comprehensive planning, there's two specific projects that go into my assembly district. That's in Northern Boulevard, corridor, Northern Boulevard and Roosevelt. So we just are in support for the community to come out for those two specific areas, and we'll be in the in any of the public hearings or events along the way to make sure we're there and we're accessible if needed. But those are the two that we're looking at because it falls within our assembly jurisdiction. Hello.
Hello. Oh, okay. Hi. So I'm Leticia. In addition to being here, I also serve on the Community Education Council for District 24. And I'm not sure if you saw on the news last night a highlight on the prostitution and sex work on Roosevelt Avenue. And that is and it's very rampant here, at least in District 24, and it's beginning to spread here in Woodside and Sunnyside. And so what is your office, or how are you working collectively with other representatives to address the issue? Because it's getting out of hand.
No, thanks for bringing it up. Myself and a few other elected officials, we've been starting in at least previously an unofficial working group to make sure that we're reaching out to folks and across a few of the corridors, Roosevelt, and then also on Grand Avenue in Elmhurst going to Queens Boulevard. So there's a few quality of life issues there, not just that, but sanitation, a few other things. So we're looking to a comprehensive approach on what that looks like. That could be finding, talking to the city agencies on providing more funding. That could be a state thing, but that's why we're just doing it together so we could pool our resources, and also because we represent different parts of the area, also have different relationships and with different communities and small businesses. We're kind of trying to make it a comprehensive approach, so we don't leave anybody behind. But we are starting kind of all the elected and the chiefs of staffs and the community affairs staff on our offices are starting to work together. But thanks.
Thank you, Maury. Maury will be the last question.
Can I ask something?
Just as a follow-up to that question, there's the decrim movement, and what is the status of decrim for sex work in the state of New York? Because I want to make sure we're not targeting sex workers, because sex work is work, and there's got to be an ongoing discussion, I think. So where is it right now?
For sure. Right now, I have not heard any updates on the bill moving or advancing, but a lot of that is because most bills aren't, because we've been here since June.
But that bill also was sponsored by an assembly member who's no longer in office.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it has a new sponsor.
Oh, for
Decrim.
for full decrim. Isn't
Yeah.
that JGR?
Maybe it is now. I had not heard that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was.
Okay.
I'm mostly sure it's Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, but I haven't. That on top of many bills hasn't really had any updates since end of June. But I'm sure everything's going to start picking up and moving pretty soon. I assume in first week of December we're going to start seeing movement on a lot of bills. Mhm. Leading up to Albany, leading up to January on that. Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I believe, I agree. Sex work is work. I am not a sponsor of that bill as of yet. There is another bill in the assembly that is kind of tackles with it, but there's kind of two competing ones, and the second bill, I'm not on that one either, but we're still analyzing both. It's kind of trying to prevent human trafficking and a lot of the survivors of human trafficking, and we're hearing that piece too from a lot of. They're two different things, but we are getting also kind of when we're talking to community organizations and also small business that deal with a lot of those that are trafficked. There's kind of they're on the fence. So that's why we want to make sure that no bill is Pareto optimal. We just don't want to 100% push, go on a bill and it inadvertently might hurt someone. Listen, a lot of this is because the bill was not moving. If it's moving tomorrow, hey, we'll make a decision immediately. But with thousands of bills being put on our table from May and June, that's why it was kind of left on us. So we're not saying we're not going to. It's just it was not one of the ones that we were looking that looked like they were going to be voted on in June. And just for clarification too, so during the two different years of a session, the first year is kind of the most difficult in terms of bill numbers because you have to get all new bill numbers. So you're gonna get thousands. So a lot of the times, if a representative is not on a bill, or a lot of that might not be because they don't support it or not, it's because they just got the bill maybe in January. There was a number, and then they didn't have time to push it out. For instance, the New York Health Act only got a bill in June for whatever reason. So a lot of bills are in the same boat.
Can I also just add that only 3.2% of active in-person sex workers in the US are currently being sex trafficked. So to your point, not the same.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Kat, for that fact. Okay, we're going to now go to elected leaders, representatives, and we have a lot on the agenda tonight, so I'm going to ask you to keep it. We're going to time you and try to keep it to 2 minutes. I'm starting with Samantha Johnson from Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez's office.
Thank you all. I hope my 2 minutes wasn't that walk up there. Is that count? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Johnson. I'm the Congresswoman's representative, a community liaison for Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez. So thank you so much for having me. I want to just give some really quick updates. The Congresswoman met with the new commissioner at NYPD and expressed her concerns about e-bikes as well as the accidents and robberies that have been happening with them. So you all know whatever you tell me, I'm reporting back to her about that concern. The other thing was that we had a ban ops bill, which is basically a ban of neurotoxic organophosphate pesticide from our Food Act. I have some literature in the back if you want more details about that, but pretty much just protecting our farm workers as well as our children, because that toxic phosphate is actually ingested in the food workers' hands and then produced over to the children as they digest them. So we want to make sure that that's banned moving forward. And so that's presented to in legislation. We also have the Greater Accountability and Pay Act, which is for the big manufacturers who are not revealing their income or how much they're getting paid, and actually making them disclose their pay raise percentage so that it would not be uneven. So everyone knows what's going on. And that legislation is in coordination with the UAW. In regards to flooding, some water infrastructure bills have been also proposed. She acknowledges that there are recent floods, which we all know, and we're in dire need of infrastructure needs. And so a dozen of the congressional team has been talking with the HAT studies as well as other infrastructure projects to try to emphasize that we need to put more money on a federal level, and the state needs to be able to pull that money to ensure that that money is disseminated properly. So that's something we're discussing. The other thing I want to tell you all about, and I'll be very brief, the Congresswoman just did an op-ed in regards to encouraging also DEP to talk about those federal funding and investments, and she really does believe that 44% of the New Yorkers and over 59% of the disadvantaged communities need to have more than just 6% of that federal funding. So we want to really emphasize that. And so, like I said, there's information in the back. Yes. Hey.
Wait, hold on. You need the mic.
You don't want me to speak up here?
I can see you, but we can't do that.
I'll be very quick. So just a suggestion with the act to try to be more transparent with the salaries.
Correct.
All nonprofits are required to put the highest paid people on their public, it's public on 990s. So if we can't, with private industry, I would say if they receive any government contracts at all or any kind of subsidies, you're just equating it to what's happening with the nonprofit world. So just throwing that out there as something in the argument.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hi. Hey. Hello there, Samantha. Could you clarify the Congress members' concerns about e-bike, particularly what is an e-bike?
So that's the electronic bicycle, right? So it's a lot of the vehicle.
Not
I can't hear you.
So not all electronically
motorized vehicles.
Bicycles are the same at all. Some are pedal assist.
Correct.
And they are in a different category. The mopeds, which I always call no-peds because they are illegal unless they have a plate, and then they don't belong in the bike lanes.
Correct.
And I think we need to be clear and not just use this general broad term of e-bike. And I'd like to say, actually, just a little bit too, this is a matter of equity. If you look at me, I'm in pretty good shape, but I'm a little older than some of you. And my pedal assist e-bike gives me access to the city, which I wouldn't have otherwise. And during the pandemic, when a person like me really couldn't safely go on public transit even. So let's be crystal clear about what we are talking and what the concerns are. I do not think the concerns are about pedal assist e-bikes.
So just for clarification, thank you so much for that. We're talking about the non-registered ones. So those vehicle non-registered e-bikes, so those ones that are not necessarily been filed properly, and you're absolutely correct. Mopeds and other vehicles do have different classifications and also different regulations on having them licensed or not, being able to just ride them like a free bike. So thank you, and I'll make sure that clarification and conversation happens.
Thank you. I don't want anybody to take
No,
away
I'm
Mike
not taking
Bellis's
offense.
bike.
This is my job. I need to get all the notes. So thank you so much.
Okay, next from Senator Jenner's office, Mercedes Jennings. Mercedes.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Good evening, everyone. So on behalf of Senator Michael Gianaris' office, I am here to give you a few updates. First, again, I'm just reiterating, we have a new location. We're no longer located at 3119 Newtown Avenue. We have moved to 4502 Ditmars Boulevard. It's right there on the corner when you get off the bus on the Q69, so it's pretty accessible. There Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. So please definitely come by if you need any of our services or support services. Also, we did an amazing G-Mobile event yesterday at Elmhurst Library. We had a lot of people come out from the community in Elmhurst giving us information about what's going on and many of the ways that our office can be a support to residents that live in Elmhurst in the district. So just wanted to let you know that that happened yesterday. Also, what's really great is that last year, actually, let me go back to last year, we had quite a few students, high school students in our district that were nominated, and 2 won the Betty A. Rosa Presidential Scholars Award. It's an award, a scholarship award that the state actually gives. We get the recommendations from the school, and the senator, gives the recommendations, and 2 of those students won. So this year, we already have 12 candidates. So that should be really exciting. I'll let you know by the end of January if we have any winners from our district again this year. Also, we're having a Thanksgiving celebration that we do every year. Senator Gianaris does an essay competition or poetry, or you could also do a drawing or any kind of artistic work. You can submit it on gianaris.nysenate.gov. Submissions are due by the 17th of November. Those who do submissions will receive recognition from the senator, certificate from his office. So it's a great opportunity. And we also post it on the website. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? Yes, I see. Hi, Tom. I knew it. I knew you were going to ask. And I have a follow-up. Yes.
So you got a big thank you, Senator Gianaris, a big thank you. Thanks for all your work and help in bringing the park in the Laurel Hill section of West Mansfield to fruition. Thank you. I just want to let you know that the people of Blissville are now identifying the next initiative that Senator Gianaris will help us with. We don't have it yet, but we will have it soon. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we also saw the email that she sent on the, I believe, the 4th of October concerning the sewage. And we saw that Julie Wan's office did respond. So we're looking into just follow up with their office to make sure, like, if there's anything that needs to be followed up as per the state, whether it's legislation or finances, we're going to support that also.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
We're waiting for the meeting with DEP. It hasn't happened yet, but yes, thank you.
Please keep us in the loop, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Any other questions?
Okay.
Oh, right here. Hi.
Hi, how are you, Mercedes? Good to see you.
Hanging in there. Good.
I hear you. All we can do is hang in. I just want to follow up. I know I always ask about this, but it's been like 4 years since I first started advocating for the New York Privacy Act when it was first introduced years ago.
Yes.
I know we're not in session, but are there any updates on whether the senator intends to support it or sign on if it's reintroduced? Because he hasn't signed on yet. He's talked about maybe signing on. He said he supports it, but I don't know if you know if he's going to sign.
I don't know at the moment, but what I can do is you have my information.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up with the senator on that and give you a direct answer.
Awesome. Maybe next month we can have just a report on whether he supports it yet or not.
No problem. But if he said he supported it in the past, I don't see why that's changed.
Yeah, he just hasn't signed on as a co-sponsor, so
Right.
we'd love to see that.
Again, it could also be to kind of reiterate what Assemblyman Raga mentioned. There was, because of the delay of the budget, that pretty much kind of
Right.
set aside a lot of legislation that he typically would have pushed forward. But I'm going to follow up with him and let you know for sure.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll make mention of it at the next meeting.
Hey, Mercedes. Nice to see you. Too quick, following up on what I brought up with the assembly member, we count on the senator to put forward the bill again to try to get the gender equity in the disability, short-term disability insurance? And then the second thing is a place at the table on the Senate side to, to try to raise that lobbying threshold so that nonprofits don't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money just registering, doing the paperwork for spending a few $1,000s a year.
I just put a note of it and I'm going to make sure that I let him know and I'll follow up with you next meeting. You're welcome.
And I just want to say thank you. I met with Jen last Friday and Tom, I did bring up the sewer issue in that meeting. And the office was very helpful. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad we've been able to be of service to you. Just again, see us as a resource and support. And I'm leaving my card over here and information about the Thanksgiving event at the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next from our other senator in the area, Senator Kristen Gonzalez. I think Mufazal is here. Yep. Sure. Next would be Melissa from Assemblymember Ardia's office. But after Mufazal.
Hi, how you guys doing? Mufuzal from State Senator Kristen Gonzalez's office, committee liaison. So a couple of things. Our office was proud to coordinate with HRA and the offices of Council Member Tiffany Caban, Assembly Member Zora Mamdani, and Jessica Gonzalez Rojas to help constituents that have had their SNAP benefits stolen. We welcome constituents to reach out to our office with any SNAP skimming cases they have. We would be more than happy to help them correctly file the forms to get those benefits refunded to them. Our office attended the Renewable Ravenswood event in the Variety Boys and Girls Club a couple of weeks ago and had a follow-up meeting with the developers today. We are excited to partner with them in recruiting local residents for their apprenticeship program that will supply local workers with good union jobs. And the senator is proud to announce that her economic abuse bill was signed by Governor Hochul this month. It requires shelters, police stations, and other public service locations to carry literature on what economic abuse is and other resources for those who have been victims to this type of a domestic abuse. If you guys have any questions, I'll be in the back. Once again, Mufuzal Islam, and email address is islam@nysenate.gov.
Questions? No, I have to give you the mic so people online can hear. And as I'm walking, I just will say, Mufazal, thank you that the senator sent a representative to come out to the walk we did of the Long Island waterfront. That was great.
The same two questions I asked the prior state representative's office as well as on the sex work bills.
I don't have anything on hand, but I will definitely get back to you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is
Farah. You're next after. Okay.
Hello, my name is Melissa. I'm the Chief of Staff to Assemblymember Juan Ardilla. First, I would like to wish everyone who celebrates Thanksgiving happy holidays as we prepare for the festivities coming ahead. We are glad to state that we hosted a treat and greet with the Assemblymember this Halloween in our office. We served over 500 bags of candy to our constituents in Sunnyside Garden. On November 11th, we have an event, which is next Saturday, with Centro of Paraguayo de Nueva York. It's a free mammogram bus with American Italian Cancer Foundation from 9 to 4:30 at 5015 Roosevelt Avenue here in Woodside. If you want to see if there's any occupancy left, you can call 347-368-9459. We are very limited since we are close to the date. We are excited to be here. If you have any questions, you could forward it to me. My email is B as in Victor, I as in Italy, double L as in Larry, A as in Apple, L as in Larry, at nyassembly.gov. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No?
Oh, I'm sorry. And next is Farah from Councilmember Wan's office.
Oh, you're here. Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Claire. I'm a community board liaison at the office of Queensborough President Donovan Richards. Okay, we have a few topics to go over. The first one is the Israel-Palestine conflict. After the war began on October 7th, the BP hosted a vigil on Monday in Kew Gardens to mourn the lives lost. Joining the BP were elected officials from across the borough and more than 100 community members in a show of solidarity. The Queensborough President's Office is working with both our Jewish and Muslim communities to bring together leaders from both sides, hear both communities, and show everyone what Queens is known for, our unity through diversity. On a lighter note, the Queens Tech and Innovation Challenge, BP Richards has teamed up with the Queens Economic Development Corporation to relaunch the Queens Tech and Innovation Challenge for a second year. The QTIC is a multi-month competition for Queens-based entrepreneurs in search of funding. The initiative includes entrepreneurial classes, one-on-one mentorship opportunities, and networking events to help applicants develop their pitches, which will be heard by a panel of judges next spring. 5 winning startups will receive $20,000 in seed funding. The application is open until March 1st, 2024, and to apply, go to queensstartup.org. We have a few events coming up. The first, on November 8th at 11 a.m., we're having our Veterans Day event at Borough Hall. The event will include a free lunch for our veterans as well as entertainment. Also on Wednesday evening, we're having our Diwali celebration at 6 p.m. Also in the atrium at Borough Hall. On November 9th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Borough Hall, we are having our high school selection and awareness fair. Representatives from dozens of high schools across Queens will be on hand. And for the list of schools, go to queensbp.org/education. And then on November 21st at 6 p.m., we are having a Transgender Day of Remembrance ceremony. To view this list of events or RSVP to them, you can go to www.queensbp.org/RSVP. Those are all the announcements I have.
Hold on, Sheila.
Thank you. First of all, I'm impressed by the courage to bring up the conflict in the Middle East right now. However, I feel that I must ask, since the borough president didn't come out with a statement, rightfully so, condemning the attack on Israel from Hamas, where does the borough president stand on a ceasefire so they can protect the people of Palestine as well and Gaza, as well as Israelis, as this conflict will continue if there's not a ceasefire?
So thank you for your question. My job is to read the script they give me. Right. No, but I mean, it's being broadcasted, so I'm glad that you're voicing your concerns. My email is ccollins@queensbp.org, and I can forward all of your concerns to our communications director if you'd like a statement from him about any conflicts like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Great.
Thank you. Farah?
Good evening, everyone. If I seem a little out of it, I was up all night with my daughter. So, good afternoon and evening. My name is Farah. I'm Councilmember One's district manager. There's just two things that I really wanted to provide updates on. One is the land use related items. So Councilmember One, if you haven't already heard, is launching comprehensive community plan. Oh, is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So Councilmember One is launching comprehensive community planning for City Council District 26. This is composed of two distinct projects. There is one Long Island City. There's a town hall launch event this upcoming Monday, November 6th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Culture Lab located at 525 46th Avenue. The doors open at 6:00 p.m. This is primarily for Long Island City. We encourage residents living in Long Island City, Queensbridge, et cetera, to attend. For residents that live near Northern Boulevard, we have another project that we are calling the Heart of District 26. The launch event is on November 16th, 2023 from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Legal Outreach, which is located at 3614 35th Street in Astoria. So if you have any questions, if you would like any more information, please reach out to our Land Use and Legislation Director, Isaac Blazenstein. His email is iblazenstein@council.nyc.gov, or you can always call our office at 718-383-9566. I know that a lot of folks have been calling our office since we've announced, so if you have any questions, I'm not a land use expert, but there are plenty in our office that can answer your questions. The next thing I wanted to plug again is participatory budgeting. The deadline to submit ideas is November 10th, so please share your ideas. However, we do not have a deadline for budget delegates. So if you would like to be a budget delegate, please reach out to our office. You can email us at district26@council.nyc.gov. You can also reach out to my colleague, Nayli Vera Martinez. Her email is nveramartinez@council.nyc.gov. That's all I have to share for today.
And thank you for changing the date of that meeting. Yes, we really appreciate it.
We wanted to we heard from the community and we changed accordingly.
Thank you, Farah.
You're welcome.
As you may remember, it's now almost 6 months since the members of the Blissville community have raised concerns regarding the raw sewage entering their homes.
Yes.
When last we spoke, you indicated that DEP had to set priorities. So I'm here to say to you today, if I was in a bakery, I would at least know what number I am. So we want to know in Blissville, where do we fall on the priority list? And when are we going to meet with DEP? It's been 6 months. In 40 years, we have not seen the unprecedented amount of raw sewage entering our homes. We deserve a meeting with DEP. We've asked now for 6 months. What number are we for?
So I unfortunately do not have a number for you, but I will touch base with my colleague Kaesong to reach out to DP because she works on all DP cases.
6 months, Laura.
I understand.
All right.
Hello.
Hi, Warren.
All right, real quickly, I have to applaud Community Board 2 for being a board that is inclusive, believes in fair share and equity. Yet, when I look at October 10th, when the councilwoman spoke with the mayor's office on the one LIC plan that they went to include for all of Long Island City, and I look at the map, there are various sections on that map that are excluded from being included in this plan. One, will all of Long Island City, including sections that are excluded like Blissville, be included in that conversation? Two, who and how are these areas decided to be selected to participate in this planning? So that's the bulk of my question.
Okay, thank you for sharing those questions. I can bring them back to Isaac. I know that he has been working in the background on this. So, and I also welcome you to come to the town hall on Monday. And so I'll also let Isaac know, so that way he can also, see which parts of Long Island City. Because I know it's the planning process.
Who makes that decision of which Which neighborhoods and areas in Long Island City?
Yeah, I mean, I asked that question on the kickoff meeting and didn't really get an answer, not to layer on, but.
To be quite honest, I don't have an answer for that question. Like I said, don't do the land use, I oversee everything else, but I will touch base with Isaac and I'll have him reach out to you to provide that answer as with you, Danielle. Yeah. All right, great, thank you.
So we have one other, Javier from the district. Sorry, Moira, I forgot to tell him. But we do have public comment after this, so if you make public comment, get ready.
All right, I'm going to keep it very short so we can get the public comment because I know nobody wants to hear me talk. So my name is Javier. I'm from the district attorney's office. I'm going to keep it short. There's been a lot the DA is doing, of course. So if you want specifics, I left the newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out monthly. But one topic that there's been a lot of concern over is hate crimes and recent events that happened here in Queens. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Sikh man who was attacked on the bus. That man has since, the man who attacked him has since been charged with a felony hate crime. The district attorney said in a statement, "We will hold accountable those that would attack others based on their religion. Freedom of religion and expression are fundamental principles of our democracy. That is most true in Queens, the world's borough, the most diverse county, in the United States. Unprovoked attacks, especially ones motivated by hate, will not be tolerated." In case anyone wants to talk to me about any of this, I have my card, feel free to reach out. And then just going into some events, our Veterans Day celebration is on the 9th, and our Diwali celebration is going to be in Woodside, and it is on the 13th. And there are flyers for both of those right there. And that is it for me. If there's any questions, I could take them. Yes. Yeah.
Hello, good night. A crime occurred in my building a couple weeks ago, and I'm curious to know who the perpetrator is, who's being prosecuted by the Queens DA's office. How can one find that information?
What crime was it specifically? Or was it like what happened? Or actually, we could just talk offline.
Is there not a way, it should be public record, I would imagine. How do you find this information?
It should be public record, but we can talk offline.
No, I'd like to know, I think other people are curious. I've wanted to know for weeks, months. Is there a website?
To find out who
committed the crime.
Who's being charged with the crime, yeah. I can find it.
Is it public record when they're charged or when they're convicted?
I believe.
It's public record when they're charged.
Okay.
And if you look at the arraignment, it would give you a list of everybody, not specify which person or what location.
Well, I didn't hear that.
Is there a database for this?
I believe it sounds more like an NYPD issue. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm saying. If you give me your card, I can navigate to someone in my office who can better answer this question for you.
Can you bring that back?
Yeah, I think,
It should be like the court documents or something, right?
Court?
Yeah, but not everything's public. There's a lot of stuff that's not, like a lot of court documents are not public. Like some of them, I don't even have access.
But just to know the person's name, I mean, I think, in the event of a civil interest, I don't know the person's name.
Yeah.
So maybe there's no public way of finding out the name. If you found out the name, you can follow the case. Probably the best idea is to get the information with 108.
There's no database or record. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it, like I was saying, a lot of times when stuff happens in the community and stuff, people want to find out specifics. I have to go through certain avenues because it's not public. There's not public information that's released just yet. So I have to navigate. That's what I'm saying. If you want to talk to me offline, I can maybe find someone, better suited to direct you to the right person in my office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to general public comment. So this is just any public comment about anything not about one of the hearings that we have tonight. So I'm just going to start with Ronald Comito. Ronald, you can come up. And we will have, it is 2 minutes for public comment. And there will be a timer.
Yeah. I was going to hand you the microphone.
Am I allowed to speak about situations in the neighborhood?
You're allowed to speak however you'd like.
Okay.
Have 2 minutes.
Hi, a lot of people know me. My name is Ronald Comito. I'm from Penske Truck Rental in Long Island City. I've been here over 50 years. My concerns are down on Review and 37th Street. There's a fire prevention type of fire extinguisher place. They're parking all over the street with commercial parking. The next thing is Railroad Avenue. Is Railroad Avenue underneath the BQE allowed to have columns, cement columns blocking so you can't park there? The third thing is when you get off the highway in Long Island City, when you're coming from east back to New York and you're making that left-hand turn by St. Raphael Church, why can't they change that pattern a little bit that the middle lane, you could go straight or left? They only have that going left. The next thing is on Bradley and Greenpoint. There's a bar there and there's people flowing out into the street, drinking, smoking, and carrying on. How do we justify them to stay inside? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have pictures.
And the address of the bar. So you can- Sorry. Next is Asif Ali.
Can we address some of his
Yeah.
concerns, like publicly, because I would imagine other people.
Yeah, sir. Sir, sorry, one thing. Well, one thing is we need to know what the bar is, but it would be a 311. Yeah, so if you could leave, I think the file you have there, we'll look. Yeah, we'll.
Can we have this file?
Yeah. Awesome.
Come to the transportation.
Yes,
committee.
Right.
I'm gonna plug transportation. Go ahead, Sheila.
Okay, Asif, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sir.
Sheila has a question.
Oh, Sheila?
How much do you give information for the transportation committee meeting?
I'm sorry.
We have. We will.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
We have it.
I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
sir.
Hearing aids.
2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asif, and I'm an outreach coordinator with Woodside on the Move. I just want to highlight some of our work from the past month, as well as some upcoming projects. Oh, is it any better now? Thank you. I just wanted to highlight some of our work from the past month, as well as some upcoming projects. Over the past few weeks, we've been canvassing, tabling, and phone banking to make community members aware of the upcoming election and
Speak into the mic better?
registering people to vote. We'll continue our nonpartisan outreach efforts leading up to the general election on November 7th. Next, we held a movie screening at PS 361 for the Street Project, a documentary about street safety and how to make our community safer. We also held a haunted house Halloween event and a beacon program at PS 361. We had over 300 people join us. We also had another successful virtual legal clinic last month. Our legal clinic takes place on the last Tuesday of the month, and we usually have a housing case manager and a housing attorney during the clinic. In addition, we'll be hosting a Day of Thanks dinner at our Beacon program at PS 361 for the kids and their families on November 17th. Finally, we have a few projects coming up for the holidays, and we're looking for volunteers to assist us with them. Please let me know if you're interested. Again, my name is Asif, and I'm with Woodside Move. If you have any questions, I'll be in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Anthony Dow. Anthony? Oh, Anthony, you're slated to speak in when we vote on your,
The street renaming, we're not up to that yet.
well, you'll get to speak when, yeah. Thank you. We'll get to that, I promise. Okay, Carrie Cuthbertson, Carrie?
She's with them.
Oh, cool. Okay,
She showed up on the wrong sheet.
okay. Does she want to comment on it?
She's with the dual street.
And she's going to speak then? Because we asked them to come speak.
Yes, we always.
Okay, got it. So we'll have both of you speak when we do public comment on that. Sorry, Molinos? Sorry, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Spirit Molinos, and I'm a Woodsider who has been employed at William Cullen Bryant High School for a very long time. It has been brought to my attention that the Department of Education has been planning to co-locate an incubator school within William Cullen Bryant High School. I'm here to ask for the community support and community board to help us prevent that from happening. Thank you. William Cullen Bryant High School is a community-based school that's been around for over 100+ years. The doors are open to all and is another home to not just the students, but to the staff as well. The building is unique in that it is able to provide at least 3 different science laboratories, 2 newly refurbished gymnasiums for our wrestlers and volleyballers, our little small black box mini theater where our budding thespians are able to showcase their hidden acting talents, and a new hydroponics lab that allows students of all abilities to engage in hands-on science while learning about plants. These are just a few of the many things that make William Cullen Bryant High School unique. I could go on and on and on about the wonderful other positive attributes that we actually present to all our students. But again, I don't want to take up too much time because we are on a 2-minute time limit. But I'm asking that you all please take one of the flyers that we have here. And if you can actually sign this petition that's telling the DOE that to not come in and sneak another building within our building, because it does create a lot of disruptions. And that is something that we want to prevent. So if anybody's interested, please go to our lovely change.org's petition and just sign in to tell the Board of Ed that we are not to be pushed to the side. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Just to clarify, individuals here may feel,
But I'm a Woodsider. Bryant High School is my zone. It's my zone school. So it involves everyone within Community Board 1, 2, and 3, because we do encompass a huge area. Yes, yes. Right. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Monica Guzman. Oh, right here. Oh, you're, oh, great.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Monica Guzman with Sunnyside Community Services. Want to say welcome to our community center. We're happy to have you back here in person. I have a couple of announcements about some of our programs. This month is National Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and it's also National Caregivers Month. So I just want everybody to be aware that we have programs that support families who are living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. So please, if you know someone, refer them to us. We can support them in many different ways. Also want to make sure you're aware of one of our newest programs. Last month was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have a new program called Elder Justice, and it works to combat abuse, raise awareness, and prevent and end violence against older adults. So again, community referrals often are really because people don't report that they're having these issues with their loved ones. So please be sure to spread the word and report it to Sunnyside Community Services. We can offer support there too. On the more positive side, want to put a call out to volunteers to help some of adults who are learning to speak English. We are looking for volunteers. It's online to do conversations with people learning English once a week, just for an hour. And we're just looking for a few weeks of commitment just to help out our newest neighbors. And then I just want to say thank you to everybody who came out on Saturday. It did not rain. So it was a lovely day. About 200 people joined us to raise money to support Sunnyside Community Services. The Sunnyside Woodside Runners Club organized that. Many local businesses were sponsors, and then community came together to support as well. So just want to say thank you.
Okay, so we have one presentation today, and then we're gonna have two public hearings, and everyone else who is speaking, signed up to speak, will speak after one of those public hearing, or speaking on that topic. But next, we're going to have a presentation from Tara Das, from the Economic Development Corporation, about Hunters Point South Ferry Landing engagement and strategy. We're just waiting for the lights to dim, so. I think last year because we were on Zoom, it seemed different. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. I was trying to get great. We're gonna have to switch places.
You can start.
Yeah, then we'll get the
Right, stay lower, they can't.
Excellent. All right.
When they figure it out.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Das, and I'm here with the Economic Development Corporation. I'm joined by my colleague, Nina Versosa. Sorry. Can you hear me better now? Oh, great. All right. I'll start again. My name is Tara Das, and I'm here from the New York City Economic Development Corporation. I'm joined by my colleague, Nina Versosa. We may have to do a little bit of a dance between the two of us tonight, so I apologize. We're here tonight to talk about the NYC Ferry Hunters Point South Landing. And before we get into the agenda and the full presentation, I do want to give some context as to where we are in this project. The current ferry landing at Hunters Point South is one of the oldest in the system and is in need of being replaced. It's coming to the end of its useful life, so we do want to make sure that we're able to continue operating service, which will require replacing the landing. Last year, EDC did propose a landing just north to the current site. The reason for that is because there are some technical difficulties with how a new landing could be built in the current area. But following conversations with several community members, including the community board, the council member's office, and the Hunters Point Park Conservancy, in addition to several other community organizations in the area, we did receive feedback that provided some understanding as to what the frustrations with the initial proposal has. So following a review of of alternative sites, we did identify together a few potential options which we are studying currently. So for tonight's presentation, I do want to give a quick overview of the project. We'll talk a little bit about what we've learned so far through the study and what we are continuing to study, as well as provide an overview of the engagement that we just started this week. So to look at the process, we first selected the alternative locations alongside the community members. The alternative analysis study did begin earlier this year and has been an ongoing process. What you'll see tonight is that we do know some technical aspects about some of the landings or some of the potential options, but we are continuing to review this. We are also at a point now where we want to understand how the community's feedback on the different sites that we are exploring, in addition to the original site proposed. We'll go a little bit into that for why we're taking a look at all of these different sites and why within our survey, you will still see that initial proposed site as one of the options that we are trying to solicit more feedback from in just a little bit. So when we finish the alternative analysis study and finish receiving all feedback, we'll take all that information to inform our analysis, inform our conversations with different permitting agencies, with different agencies within the city family, before coming to a conclusion as to what a proposal could be that works best for the community and for this area. So following consulting with different agencies around this feedback around our study, we'll then be able to come back with a follow-up after this process concludes. So I will pass it to Nina for the next part of this presentation.
Thank you, Tara. So the last time we presented to the full board, it was still virtual. But also during that meeting, we talked about starting the alternatives analysis study. And tonight we'll be providing a quick update on it. So the purpose of the alternatives analysis study is to evaluate the alternative locations and design for the replacement of the ferry landing at Hunters Point South. So on the left-hand side, it's the map that identifies all of the alternative locations that we're looking at, including the existing landing. And on the right is the table that provides a status of each of the location and a quick description. So the baseline is the existing ferry landing. So we can continue servicing and maintaining the landing, understanding that at some point we would have to replace it. And if not, then we would have to discontinue service at the existing landing. And as we reiterated in the past, we do not want to discontinue service at this landing. It is one of our growingly popular landing, especially among morning commuters and weekend recreational riders. So our hope is to continue servicing this area, Hunters Point South in particular, for years to come. And so EDC late last year proposed to relocate the ferry landing along the Esplanade, which is location 0. And then we also, as Tara mentioned earlier, we consulted with the community and we've identified 4 other locations that we will be considering in the study. So that includes 55th Avenue, Luminescence, a modified design right next to the existing ferry landing. And then we are also looking at 2 locations on the southern part of the park along Newtown Creek. So you have one right next to the outdoor gym and right next to the kayak launch. So the update tonight is that we eliminated the outdoor gym and then the outdoor gym and the kayak launch from further evaluation because these two landings were restricted from building permanent infrastructure along Newtown Creek. It will be on the border of the Federal Navigation Channel and will pose navigational challenges for maritime traffic in that area. But we really want to hear what the community mentioned earlier this year, which is that the community wanted for us to consider a location at the southern part of the park. And so McLaren Engineering, who is the consultant for this project, recommended looking at a location at the Cove West of the outdoor gym. And so that is one of the locations that we've added in the study, and we're looking at it. So in the next slide, we are continuing to look at the benefits and impacts of each of the alternatives. And those are the factors that we are considering. So we're looking at physical access, constructability, the ability to get permits for these locations, and of course, community feedback. We have recently opened the location preference survey for the replacement of the Hunters Point South Ferry Landing, and it will be open through December 10th. We will be handing out postcards with the QR code access to the survey, and we also created a website for the study. We will be updating it as we get more information about each of the alternatives. And I'll pass it on to Tara to talk about the engagement timeline and things that we'll be doing for the next few weeks. We have it here as well, so I will hand it out later. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Thanks, Nina. So as we mentioned, this Monday, we launched the survey. If you've ridden the NYC ferry, you may see on billboards by the ferry landing on board. We've also shared the ferry survey widely with different organizations to share out and encourage if organizations have a position that they share that position as they share the survey. The survey will be open until December 10th. Following that is when we will be reviewing all the feedback, the remaining aspects of the study that we're doing for the alternative sites before we then determine what the next steps are and come back to the community board to present on that follow-up. Lots of questions.
So actually, I'm going to start. So I take the ferry to work. I go to the LIC stop. But when I miss that, I do have to go to the other stop. And I do see now, unlike the first time you came, there needs to be a bigger station. I get it. What can well, first of all, when you take the ferry, there's a survey that they ask you to take when you ride the ferry. Is it the same survey or is this a different survey?
You're talking about the survey that you see on the...
Yeah, like they gave out cards a couple times.
If you're talking about something that happened this week, then yes, it's the same survey. No. We did conduct a citywide survey over the late summer, early fall.
But this is a different survey.
This is specific to this landing.
Great. And Steve.
Yeah, it's great that you came to us. Have you also gone to the community itself, the people who are actually going to be using the ferry more than anybody else?
Yeah, and that's really what this survey is hoping to collect. We know we've presented at the community board meetings several times over the past year, and we've had conversations directly with certain organizations, but we know that that's not the only way to get feedback, which is why we're blasting the survey as widely as we can, hopefully putting it up in local businesses as well.
Have you attempted to actually hold a community meeting in that area in Hunters Point South?
We have not done so, no.
I would suggest that be done. And if you need location, I know several of the buildings have locations available.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, go. Christine.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm Christine Hunter, the co-chair of the chair of land use. I have comments on the criteria that you showed on your board for your, your selection criteria, because I didn't see anything about the impact on the design of the park, the functioning of the park, or the users of the park. This is a, destination, very heavily used park, very well designed, and I would hope, apart from the user, the immediate results of survey, that you're also really engaging with some urban designers, perhaps the landscape architects that designed the park, understand the impact on views, on the functioning of the park, because that was a big part of the problem with the original location. And I don't see that being factored into the considerations that you're listing.
Yeah, I will pass this to Nita to speak to the study itself.
So at this point in the study, it's still early. Like at this point, we're really just collecting community input. But the next step would be to do conceptual design and then actual design after.
Yes, but the basic criteria are important from the get-go, I would say.
I agree.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom Machusis. I feel obligated to mention, you mentioned in the presentation how you've heard from the community about looking at the south section. But haven't you also heard from the community concerns about the south section? So I don't want you to make people think that this is what the community wants. When we've heard also the concerns with the impact on Newtown Creek, the impact on the ecological benefits that we've seen over the last 20 years, the fact that it's a Superfund site and what impact will it have on the Superfund status, the fact that on the south side you're going to be entering a park that is a quiet respite. What impact are you going to have to that area? So I think it's disingenuous just to mention that the community wants the south side when there have been concerns about the south side as well, and that was not mentioned in your presentation.
That's definitely something that all of the factors that you've mentioned is something that we are considering. Like we are looking at this topic holistically, and we just want to make sure also that we're presenting all reasonable options for this particular project, and the options that we've shown are.
I want to make sure you understand your presentation directed us that the community wanted the south.
There are two sites.
I understand that, but still, one of them is not everyone wants the south.
And just to provide a little bit of context for that, those sites were identified during a walkthrough that we did with certain community leaders, but it's by no means to indicate that the entire community wants those sites. The purpose of the survey is really to broaden that, that vessel for receiving feedback. And so that's certainly what we, the type of information that we want to be collecting through this as well.
Hello. Just following on Christine's earlier comment, it feels illogical to ask for feedback without providing the broader context of what the impact will be. I see the A, B, C, D, but I don't know what the effect will be on the current landscape, the current things that are there. So this process feels a little backwards to me.
No, I hear that. And really what we're trying to understand through the survey is how do people use the park? How do people use the ferry? How do they understand what are their priorities in this area? One thing that we learned last year when we went through this process is that we did not have enough information about those aspects when doing this process, which is why we really want to be taking a fresh start at looking at that. But certainly when we come back, we will be able to go over that type of information with you and be able to look at that, together with the community.
Yes. Just to be clear, this park was designed, that's one of the very first park that was designed with the reality that climate change is a thing. And so there is some climate resilience built into it with these wetlands that are hopefully more water, reducing a bit storm surge and things like this. On the site selection, I think it's imperative because climate change is not going to go away. I mean, we just passed 1.7 above pre-industrial roll in temperature in September. So it's important to take that into account, even though it's a tiny little impact, every tiny little impact add up onto each other. So I'd like to reinforce that idea that it's also not just about the aesthetic and the park use for the users that have a quiet respite in the noisy city, but it's also about the climate resilience aspect of things, and it helps more public transportation, which is definitely hitting the spot on that site. But there is also these structures that have been built with climate resilience in mind, and how these will be affected by the new location. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. I do want to uplift a number of the comments that were made about the usability of the park. It really should be, this should be updated to include how people use those parts of the park, because one of the concerns that has been brought up over and over again is it's expanded at the existing location. If you look at the other sites that are large, that becomes queuing. So much of the existing use of the park there is lost to lines for the ferry. So I think how people use the parks is critically important to evaluating and considering. And I do think it needs to be now, not later, because once you get people to check off these boxes, you're coming back to them and you'll have, data to say, this is, you're weighing more heavily on this. The other thing, and you and I've talked about it, and I just want to put it on the record, is that by putting an equal weight, the existing site will outweigh the other sites in how people consider it, because they don't have something to think about as far as using it as a ferry site, which is another reason it's critical to talk about the park use. And also weighing that even more than the ferry use. Because if I'm like, this is my trajectory every day, and then you're asking, well, which one do you want? I'm like, I have a trajectory. I'm going to rate it based on that. So it's by including the existing site, we're not getting equal feedback on the other sites, like Tom is giving on the far, far, far south site. That are far, far, far south. So thank you.
Okay, I will say this. I say this every time. I know it's out of scope of the project, but it would be really great if there could be a ferry stop at Queensbridge Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's actually.
Okay, Sheila.
Yeah, one other thing that's not here is equity, and that is something that should be on that list, is that, there's economic equity, and, this doesn't, physical access, but that is not full access, because the majority of affordable and so-called affordable housing is in the southern part of the park, in the city park, and yet the two ferry stops are the closest proximity to all the market rate housing, which is one of the reasons that many of us complained about the second ferry site to begin with, that it wasn't located in some place like Queensbridge Park, since the folks north of the bridge have very little transportation access until you get up to Astoria. So, access, socioeconomic access should be a criteria as well.
Phil, if I may. Since we're getting there. And my understanding is this is one of the highest subsidy-driven initiatives in New York City. So I would think if we're going to subsidize with our tax dollars a ferry service, I would want to subsidize it for those in need, as opposed to the people who own $1 million condos. Thank you.
I'll just respond to those points. Completely hear you on the need for transportation equity across the city, especially for NYC ferries overall. A note about where the alternative locations right now are. This is considered a replacement to the current ferry landing, not additional or a new stop entirely. So for that reason, we are looking at sites within a specific radius, or we went through sites that are within a specific distance from the original landing. there obviously is a need for transit desert areas, areas that have lower socioeconomic levels to have more transit access overall. Unfortunately, right now, we are not focused on expansion or looking at new sites just yet, but certainly equity in the system is something that's a huge priority for us, which is why we've introduced other mechanisms to really make sure that NYC Ferry is accessible for more diverse populations, like the discount program, our targeted engagement strategies. And so I do want to mention that, this is certainly something that we deeply prioritize as well. Unfortunately, relocating or completely adding a new ferry landing is not within that strategy right now, but it's certainly something that we share with you.
I'm sorry, but you're saying a new ferry landing is not in the plan, but even replacing the existing one would be a new ferry landing, because you cannot replace the existing one. You'd have to do one next to it if it's replaced. So anything that is done is a new ferry landing. So that any change is an opportunity to correct something that was done wrong the first time.
Completely hear that. And I say that more in terms of how we think about the distance from a replacement landing or versus a whole landing addition or a whole stop addition. This is more from like I completely understand the feeling behind it, but it's more from like that technical planning aspect of things where the distance from the original landing location is how we think differently about, a completely new land or a completely new stop within the system versus a replacement of something that we already have together, which I know it kind of seems like it's the same from, in terms of like how we understand our neighborhoods, but in terms of how we are planning the system, they are different things.
There are other ways to help with equity, like making a fare system that works with the subway or buses, which I know is not within your purview, but that would help a bit. But
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to move to the public hearing portion of the meeting. And the first public hearing is on the DEP site, selection and acquisition. Is there someone here to present?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll do the slides and I'll do the talk. Okay. Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you to Community Board 2. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members of the board, for inviting us here to discuss the proposed relocation of DEP laboratories to the full board. We'll get back to we're getting ahead. All right, while we're finding the beginning of the slide deck, I want to start with introductions. My name is Terrell Estson. I'm Director of Wastewater Review and Special Projects with DEP's Bureau of Environmental Planning and Analysis. And I'm joined by Sue Dennis, Director of Facility Management and Construction, Paul Bellick, Director of Real Estate and Space Management, Robert Oliveri from DEP's Bureau of Public Affairs and Communication. And we have Chris Campbell with DEP's consultant Hazen and Sawyer. Yeah.
Just a quick question.
Just a quick question. Are you the person who would be in charge of talking to people about their flooded basements with the sewage? Because I'm just really trying to understand if you're the person that he needs to have a conversation with, because he might meet you outside.
I was expecting that question, but I'm not the person to talk to. Yeah. Hi, Robert Olivari from BPAC. Yes, yeah. I am sorry to hear that you've been trying for so long and haven't been able to connect. So I hope that,
I'll tell you, for 40 years, we have not experienced what we've experienced since May. So it's got to be an issue. If it hasn't happened in 40 years, why is it happening since May on a constant basis?
I don't know. I hope that you get resolution soon. Okay. All right. So we're here to talk about the relocation of DEP's laboratories to 2402 49th Avenue. Okay. So we'll do introductions. Done. We'll talk about the project and its background. We'll go over the schedule and we'll take questions. Okay. So for the background, we sort of start with what DEP's mission is. DEP's mission is to enrich the environment and protect public health for all New Yorkers by providing high-quality drinking water, managing wastewater and stormwater, and reducing air, noise, and hazardous materials pollution. DEP's laboratories play a key role in this mission by analyzing the quality of drinking water, demonstrating the effectiveness of wastewater treatment, proving the strength of materials used in our capital program, and analyzing asbestos, oil blends, and air samples. Okay. An introduction to the project. DEP is proposing to relocate our testing laboratories from our LaFrac City Plaza headquarters, as well as labs at the Wards Island and Newtown Creek wastewater resource recovery facilities, to Long Island City. The proposal requires Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, or ULURP, approval, and a combined site selection and acquisition application was certified to begin review on September 11th, 2023. The proposed laboratory site is 2402 49th Avenue, also known as the Bridge or the NYCHA building. It's in an M14 zoning district, and it's at tax block 71, lot 7501. DEP is proposing to enter into a 20-year lease, and that would include a vehicle storage or parking facility for fleet vehicles at 2520 Borden Avenue, which is tax block 68, lot 55, in an M32 zoning district. Both buildings are existing buildings, and the uses would be allowed as of right. Next. Okay. Here's a picture of the location of DEP's labs currently. The main laboratory is on the top floor of the low-rise building at DEP's LaFrac City Plaza. DEP uses both the tall building to the left of the indicated building and the lower building. We call them the high rise and the low rise. They're right now in the low rise. So although it's a laboratory, it's coexisted with our own offices for many years, and there are also residential neighbors nearby on two sides. Two smaller laboratories would also be relocated from our wastewater resource recovery facilities to realize an economy of scale with new and improved facilities. So this slide shows the locations of all the facilities DEP is working with. On the right, you have a blue star that shows the main laboratory at the LaFrac City headquarters. On the left top, a blue star shows the location of the wastewater lab at Wards Island treatment plant. And the lower left blue star shows the wastewater lab at the Newtown Creek treatment plant, while the green star shows the proposed laboratory.
The proposed laboratory would support functions of 4 of DEP's bureaus. The Bureau of Water Supply, which does drinking water quality testing. The Bureau of Wastewater Treatment, which analyzes influent and effluent samples at the wastewater treatment facilities. The Bureau of Environmental Compliance, which does air quality and asbestos testing. And the Bureau of Engineering, Design, and Construction, which conducts materials testing for construction projects. The existing lab space can no longer support operations well due to insufficient space, lack of storage space for supplies, insufficient electrical power, and aging building infrastructure. So DEP is seeking approximately 157,110 square feet of space, consisting of the whole 5th floor and about half of the 6th floor, as well as a portion of the loading dock area at 2402 49th Avenue. DEP's requirements for the workspace include independent HVAC systems, sufficient power for lighting and ventilation, emergency power, workspace for 152 employees, loading dock access, parking for DEP fleet vehicles, those are mostly Priuses, as well as good access to the street and transit network. We'll describe parking in more detail later, but the building has room for 9 DEP vehicles to park on site in 3 bays along 50th Avenue, while the remainder would fit at the Borden Avenue site. The relocation was in the 2023-2024 and the 2024-2025 citywide statement of needs due to the addition of the wastewater labs relocating from Wards Island and Newtown Creek and the change in square footage. A 204G letter was sent to Borough President Richards in August prior to certification. And here we've got some pictures. This is a slide of the DEP labs. These are the upstate labs in Hawthorne, but it's showing the work with the Bureau of Water Supply, which is a large of what we do at our headquarters as well. This is a bird's eye aerial view of the laboratory facility, showing on the left top where the staff entrance would be on the 49th Avenue side, and on the right side where the loading dock access would be along 50th Avenue. This is a ground view along 49th Avenue showing a close-up of the staff entrance. As mentioned before, the lease would include a DEP fleet storage facility at 2520 Borden Avenue for parking of DEP vehicles. We'd use approximately 23,775 square feet of the site, consisting of the colorfully painted westernmost portion of the existing building. The site is 0.3 miles or an approximately 5-minute walk from the laboratory, and it would provide space for 23 cars. The site would have 24-hour secure access and would help ensure DEP cars do not take up street parking. The overall number of vehicles assigned to lab operations is 32. 9 can park at the loading docks in the lab building, and the other 23 would be able to park here. So for project schedule, DEP met with the Environment, Parks, and Recreation Committee of Community Board 2 in April of this year to present the project in anticipation of working on the ULURP application. After DEP and DCAS, who is co-applicant, worked with the Department of City Planning on the ULURP materials, and DEP prepared an environmental assessment statement for City Environmental Quality Review. Based on that environmental review, DEP issued a negative declaration in August that found the project would not have any significant environmental effects. The ULURP application was certified into public review by the City Planning Commission in September, and we're still in the Community Board 60 days. Last month, we met with the Land Use and Housing Committee to present the project, and we anticipate continuing through the remaining steps of ULURP for completion around March of next year, and we hope to be moving into the new facility around November of next year. And with that, we'd like to invite any questions.
Thank you. Tom Machouzis, CB2, also to be full disclosure, a member of the Board of Directors of Newtown Creek Alliance. So I'm very disappointed with the past project, the pump station at Borden and Review. We asked specifically of DEP to incorporate some type of greenery, and we got none, I believe, and we got cement. So here now on Borden Avenue, I think this is adjacent to the creek. Is that correct?
It's a couple of blocks away. It's not.
I think less than a block maybe. Yeah. So I wonder here, what opportunities do we have? DEP, environment, green structures. What are we going to do here to improve the environment? Taking on this spot. Before the excuse was it was under the trestle. You're not under the trestle here. So what are you going to do for the community?
The restriction here is we will be leasing the site, so we aren't in ownership of it. It's not ours to build. We'll be working with DCAS on the lease. It will remain a privately owned site. So that will restrict how much we can do in terms of like green roof or outside improvements.
Okay. Disappointing. Could we revisit the pump station and rather than just a cement enclosure? Can we add some greenery there? I think you own that building.
We do own the building. I'm not the Borden Avenue expert. I know it's not going to provide greenery, but Borden, and you're probably familiar with this if you're with NCA, is it is being expanded with the intention of offsetting CSO to divert more to treatment and out of the creek. But that's not green infrastructure, I understand.
Okay. So I just think it's, if I hear DEP, I think you're a friend of the environment. So this is why I'd like to see some green stuff, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
You indicate that you've been talking about a lease. Have we signed the lease yet, or?
No, we've not. We have to complete the ULURP process to get the authority to sign the lease.
Have you negotiated a lease yet?
Yes.
Can you tell us?
It is in negotiation. If I'm saying anything, that should be corrected.
Okay, so it's in negotiation. You need a certain amount of power and things like that. You're moving out of your other location because the facilities are too old. How much money is the City of New York going to be putting into fixing up this location?
I don't know. Do we have a cost or what we're budgeting for the project? I don't know.
Can you get us any information?
Yeah.
Hello. Hi. Oh, I just had one clarifying question. So I wanted to know if you can share a little bit more on the environmental impact and burden and of, what this change may have on the community or the environment and who will be impacted. Like, what are the demographics of the people who are living in the area? Because you did speak about a large fleet and just want to make sure that historically marginalized communities and people are not disproportionately impacted by this change.
So we did do an environmental review. This size project is below the thresholds to even do analysis for a lot of the mobile source, the traffic, the mobile source air quality and noise analyses. As part of the ULURP process, we prepared a racial equity report. I don't have the numbers, but it's in an area, this use as an office use, it wasn't, the racial report is aiming at the potential for displacing vulnerable communities. The number crunching that's done with city planning's racial equity report tool didn't show that there'd be concerns with this. We got a question during the land use meeting about how many employees would be driving and parking in the area. We looked into that a little bit. Based on other environmental reviews done in Community Board 2, the modal split for people driving ranged between 18 and 35%. So if you go to the upper end of that, 35% of the 152 employees here would be 52 or 53 people driving. That's probably conservative. There are 30 vehicles assigned to staff. So, you know, some of those cars would not be street parking. They would be using the facilities. It's really well situated for transit. So the other environmental reviews were more waterfront, East River. So we think that's probably high end. But even if it's 52, that was below the threshold to do any type of a detailed analysis. So everything we looked at was showing no impacts. We looked at potential for any air quality impacts, and we screened out based on the industrial source screening methodology that we used. So everything we looked at showed that we would not be impacting the neighbors, we would not be causing displacement to the other users in the community.
All right. So I just checked the minutes from the April presentation to the Environment, Parks and Recreation Committee. We did ask Tom's question and about incorporating green infrastructure. And so really hope that you would have a better answer at this point in the process, to be honest. But otherwise, I will fairly report that we didn't really have significant concerns about the site of the project. It is a vital service that needs to happen. And we just really stressed that we don't want to see any double parking, blocked bike lanes, or anything of that nature, because that's how our community gets around, and that's just, our safety is important to us.
Understood.
Hi, just quickly, if I remember correctly from your presentation, the lease agreement would be for 20 years?
That's correct.
Okay, so here's my question. Given that New York City government does have some big chunk of real estate across the city, and that you have the former facility, I suppose they belong to DEP, they're not rented? The facilities that you're going to move from to that new site?
The main laboratory is leased. Right now, we're in a leased building.
Okay.
So we'd be moving mostly from a leased building to a leased building. The two treatment plants, which are smaller facilities, we own those.
Okay, I see.
But the main lab is leased, right?
I had kind of assumed that the main lab was also owned by DEP, which in this case kind of invalidate my question. So thank you very much.
It's just a really quick question. Do you know what percentage of that that building that you want to lease that you would take over?
So it's the fifth and half of the sixth floor, and it's a sixth floor building. So
less than half, right?
Less than half.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, do we get community board preference for our calls or reports of flooding? So because
I wish it was in my power to get.
Okay. Then the second thing is, if you're in lease negotiations still, then there's no reason you can't make greenery part of the requirements of your lease. And so I'm suggesting you take that back, because that is something that many people do as part of their lease negotiations. The other question I have is actually more of an operations one. Is, are you guys, is this a consolidation of 3 different locations?
Yes.
So it was decentralized and now you're centralizing it.
It is decentralized right now.
And it will
It's going to
be
centralized.
more centralized. Is there any concern about centralizing all these operations if there is some kind of, we have tremendous flooding? I know that you're dealing with that, but or any other power outages or anything, just centralizing things. Like we went through this with the state grid where we realized we have to decentralize it better. And so now you're centralizing these operations. So I'm just asking if that was taken into consideration.
This new facility is going to be far more reliable than the existing facility. We're doing this in order to have reliable labs. Mhm.
Centralizing anything so that all the rest of one location.
I don't want to say anything unsafe. The main lab is the main lab. That's where we do the water supply in the city and what the other bureaus do. So the two things that would be coming in are laboratories at the wastewater treatment plants, and like they're in trailers right now. So it's like it's not a big footprint, and we would still have some labs at those plants. So I don't think this would be like one thing that would take everything offline. Again, right now we're pretty close to coming offline with somebody sneezes wrong.
I'll go next if that's right. So you're saying there's a good disaster recovery plan in place. Like that's not that's not changing because you're moving.
Correct.
Great. Okay. And could you please remind me why it's ULURP? Why it's going through ULURP?
It's ULURP because it is it's the acquisition by the city of interest in real estate, and we're site selecting it as well.
I'm sorry. How many vehicles does DEP have?
Overall or for
No,
the
no,
lab
at
operation?
this new location?
It's going to be 32.
Will DEP transition to electric vehicles?
Yes, we are already, and the vehicle storage facility is going to have chargers in it.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
Hey, I'm just wondering if neighbors in Lefrak have brought up any significant concerns in the past.
No, not any that I can think of. Definitely none about the labs. They're pretty quiet and discreet. They're on the top floor. They don't really overlap with anybody, even within the same building. Not aware, Sue is shaking her head. No complaints.
Great, thanks.
The neighbors, the existing neighbors.
Quickly about the storage facility for the vehicle. With a transition to electric, fully electric cars, that means the weight of each vehicle is going to increase significantly. Even though a hybrid already has battery, there is more battery in an electric car. The storage facility will be reinforced if needed, or is there an audit to make sure that there is no risk of collapse or things like that? Because I believe in the past few years there have been a few parking lot collapsing.
Right, it's ground floor. It's not like a tiered garage. Yeah.
Year will the cars be transitioned by?
I don't know, but I can look into that. Sure.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you. Will this relocation result in any new employment opportunities or educational opportunities that might benefit our district?
No, it's pretty much a straight transfer of the current operations and current staffing. We won't be increasing the staffing, whether there be any education opportunities. I think we'd be open to that, but I don't know what they would be. But it won't be new jobs. It's just going to be the moving of what we're doing right now to a new and better place. Thank you.
So no one signed up for public comment on this, but is there anyone from the public that would like to comment for 2 minutes? Okay, so seeing that there are none, we will talk about this and vote on this in the business part of the meeting, but we do have another public hearing first. Okay, so the next public hearing is actually going to be kind of fun. And that is a street renaming. Someone's here to present, right? Yes. Anthony Dow is here to present. Anyway, I'll let him tell you about it because it's great.
Good evening, everyone. I am making a petition on behalf of my father, Enoch Hawthorne Gregory. He was one of the first African-American disc jockey and program director in Woodside, Queens. And that will be 4130 58th Street, which was started in 1922 with a gentleman named Williams Newman. My father came from North Carolina, Hartford, North Carolina, that is. Had big dreams of coming to the city. Born 1936. He went to school in North Carolina, graduated high school, graduated college at A&T, which something was very difficult in the 40s and the 50s for African American and the people of color. Back then it was much harder than now. He made those accomplishments. He had his eyes set on a big city, which is New York City, to come and make a better life for himself. So after graduating from college at AT&T in North Carolina, he enrolled in the Army and had an honorable discharge. He met a fellow young gentleman, William Nichols, who owned the radio station WWRL in Queens and Woodside, and gave my father opportunity, a job, becoming a disc jockey and a program director, which my father later on hired other disc jockeys, Frankie Crocker, which is what going to be very big around the world. 4130 58th Street in Woodside, Queens was the first successful African-American radio station in history. And so therefore I'm asking the committee to get the street 58th Street renamed after him. He did so much for the community, and he wanted all human beings from all backgrounds to come together in unity and love each other like brothers and sisters. And that was his motto. And I'm glad he could do so much for every human being. And that's what I'm asking for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one public comment on this. Carrie?
Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie Cuthbertson. I just want to piggyback on Mr. Anthony Dow said. I remember as being a young lady, I'm going to say my age, listen to my parents, listen to the radio station or WWRL. And I grew up listening to it, and I also became a listener, you know, to the news and the music, Motown, you know, we grew up on that. So it means a lot. I do a lot for my community, and I'm a strong advocate for, you know, love and unity. So I just wanted to tell you, I remember this station, and it was well loved in my family. It meant a lot. We wake up with some coffee, some tea, and that was our life. So thank y'all.
Do you have any questions from the board? Okay, thank you. Oh, yes.
Not a question, I just very simple wanted to tell people that I learned that WRL is Woodside Radio Labs.
We have another.
just want to quickly clarify what exactly the location, 58th Street was. Was that where WWRL had their headquarters, or what was it? Awesome, thank you.
A church. A church, I believe. So we will be voting on this in the business part of the meeting, which we will actually get to. If we don't have, okay, so we're going to move on. And the last thing is just public comment on the capital and expense budget priorities that we're going to talk about in the business part of the meeting. If there's anyone from the public, there's no one signed up. Anyone? Okay, so we are going to now move to the business part of the meeting. So thanks everyone who came and presented. We will be doing the votes in this part, and we are going to start with. Sorry, I'm having some contact lens problems tonight. We will start with attendance.
Amparo Abelbey is excused. Nelly Afshar, I think I saw you there. No? All right. And so Ashraf, I'm here. John Bahia. Yep. And Mary.
John, am I here? Are you here? Okay, great.
He's blocked by the podium.
Say it loud enough. Yeah.
And Mary Baranowski.
Present.
Yep. Carisha is excuse me. Nick Berkowitz just left. Kat Bloomfield.
Yes.
Daniel Brecker.
Present.
Carlos Castle Crow. Absent. What do we do with Nick? Absent. Tanya Chavez is excused. Osman Chaudhry.
Excused.
Stephen Cooper.
Here.
Kelly Craig.
Excused.
Warren Davis.
Present. Sorry.
Lisa Deller.
Excused.
Mark Illinois. I didn't hear you. Somnath Gimeri is traveling. Yep. Dr. Oz.
I'm here.
Camille Gray.
Here.
Kenneth Greenberg. Mohammed Hossein.
He's virtual. He's excused.
Okay. Christine Hunter.
Yeah, I'm in
Kendall.
present in the Zoom. I'm in the Zoom.
Khan. Danny Kitchler. Pramit Kumar. Jim Lama. Sheila Lewandowski. Benjamin Lucas. Patrick Martinez is excused. Tom Matusis.
Present, thank you.
Eric Norberg. Zishan Ott. We're good? Okay. Zishan Ott. Riley Owens. Maya Saab. Roberto Saldana. Laura Shepard. Ryan Smith. Caroline Spitzer, excused. Lauren Springer. From Saktashi. Akela Thomas. Thank you. Mary Torres. Leticia Vasquez. Carl so is absent. I think we have quorum. I feel like we do.
We have a quorum. Yay, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, next is the approval of I'm sorry, I'm going fast because we have a lot tonight. Approval of the October minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to accept.
Motion. Did we have a second?
Second.
Henry.
Second.
Hello.
Sorry, is that Nelly Offshore back?
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Yeah, that she was.
She's here.
Okay. So we'll change that to the present.
Yeah, Nellie, we got you.
We got you, you're present.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, so back to the minutes. We have a first, we have a motion and a second. So this is a voice, this is not a voice vote, right? This is just all in favor? Anyone opposed?
Standing.
2 abstentions. Okay, we're going to move to the chairperson's report. I'm going to be very quick because we have 2 parts of this tonight. And all I'm going to say, I'm going to say 2 things. Happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving, and please, if you have not already, go vote. You can early vote through Sunday. You can vote on Election Day, next Tuesday. So the 2 parts of this first will be, I'm going to turn the mic over to Kat, who's going to talk us through is going to review and talk us through the capital an expense budget. Many of us worked on this, but Kat fearlessly led this and did a lot of work to put this together. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Kat.
Hey, y'all. So we organized our capital and expense items according to last year's community survey. The thing that was the most important was helping our homeless peers and friends. The second item was sustainability and climate change, building for resiliency. The third item was sort of our general, like hospitals, our schools, general services. And then the fourth item was transportation concerns. So we organized all of these items in many, many meetings. And I hope that everybody read them. They were sent out by the office. And I would like to ask if we can approve our capital requests.
I so move.
Wonderful. And seconded.
You're making a motion. Yes. So move. I'm making.
Wonderful.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second to the motion.
Kidding.
Okay, great.
Discussion.
Okay. Discussion.
Does anybody want to discuss?
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Debbie, is this a voice vote?
Is the voice vote?
Yeah, you can do right here. Wait, what discussion? Yes.
Do you have discussion?
Yeah.
Sure.
I was very late to adding one typo correction that's been doing. So I just.
Do I need to say it now because I was so late?
I think you can just email us. And then
Okay, I put it in the Google Doc.
Before we actually put it in,
Great.
we'll
I'll do
fix the
that.
typo.
So I just want to be voting on it it's really important, but 2 words that just need to be switched.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
She'll just either put it in the Google Doc or let Kat know and then you'll send me the.
Yeah. Also, if there were any community organizations that didn't have their priorities included, please send their letters or highlight the items that they would like to support. Are we doing the all in favor now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. What?
Yes.
There's a call. What's the question?
Call the question.
Motion.
I'd like a motion to approve.
We don't have to. You just say call
We
for
can
the
do it
show.
by hand vote.
Okay.
All those in favor of
I don't
approving
know.
the capital budget with the correction made? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Indicate 1 abstention. No opposition, 1 abstention.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. I don't know this.
I'll help you.
You voted in favor.
Yes. Yes. Actually, I would like to abstain. There's a conflict. Okay, so we also, I would also like to ask if I can get a motion for the approval of the expense items. Sheila, seconded by Tom. We got that?
That's fair.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? Does anyone want to comment or say anything about it? Being there's no comment, can we call the question? All those in favor? Any opposition? Any abstention? No abstention, unanimous.
Wonderful. Thank you all. There was one more thing I wanted to just like highlight and thank our community for. There were several items from last year's capital and expense items that have been funded. And I would just like to list them and to thank the community members and the organizations who advocated for that. So preserving the bulletin boards in Noonan Playground and Windmiller Park, that's a capital item. New York City Parks Department has agreed to save these bulletin boards in these community areas for community events and activities to be shared. Carisha Baton of Sunnyside, Chair of CB2 Arts and Culture, organized the push for that and submitted a letter of support from Queensboro Dance Festival. Also, thank you to Queensboro Dance Festival for partnering with NYC Parks to maintain the bulletin boards, and to District 26 City Council Member Julie Wan for providing funding. We also provided Wi-Fi digital access for all temporary and permanent shelters as an expense item. Thank you to the Department of Homeless Services for completing this request, and to CB2 member Tom Matutsis from Blissville. Increased workforce development funding for youth programming and CB2, an expense item. Woodside on the Move from Woodside successfully advocated for increased funding for summer youth employment program and increased funding to expand the existing successful Cornerstone and Beacon programs within the boundaries of CB2, and especially at PS 343. Provide and expand composting programs, an expense item to expand and incentivize more composting in all neighborhoods in CB2. DSNY offered a community composting pilot bin for individuals drop off food scraps to supplement the individual DSNY brown bins that serve individual residences. Thank you to the Department of Sanitation for continuing this program, and to CB2, are you first vice chair or second vice chair?
I'm first.
You're first. Okay, fantastic. I didn't know if I was wrong. CB2 First Vice Chair, Dr. Roz Giannoutzis, Sunnyside, and Environment, Parks, and Recreation Chair, Laura Shepard from Woodside. And finally, keeping it all running, thank you to our district manager, Debbie, and the district office for continuing to communicate and advocate for our community needs through regular meetings with city agencies.
Thank you, Kat. I think we should also give another round of applause for Kat. Okay, so the second part of my report will be nominations for the elections that we'll have next month. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Steve, the parliamentarian, to do it for chair, because it's a little awkward for me to do it for the position I'm in. And then I'll take back over after that.
Thank you, everybody. The bylaws, as you know, were amended last year, I guess it was. And the system this year is that anyone who wishes to run for office self-nominates. They do not need a second. The only thing I will tell you is that our rules, please correct me if I'm wrong, say that if you are running for one position, you cannot run for another. So choose carefully. Is there anybody who wishes to run for chairman of Community Board 2? Stand up and say it.
Oh, I nominate myself.
That's it?
That's it?
Is there any other nominees?
There is.
Myself. Anatoly? Is there any other nominees? Being that there are no other nominees, I now close the nominations. That is the final nominations according to our bylaws. You cannot be nominated at the December meeting. Am I correct, Sheila? Because that's the way I read it.
You cannot be nominated, but I.
Yes, that's what I recall. Okay. All right, thank you. Now I will step down and let the president chair take over. We will do speeches after all nominations are in.
Okay, now we will move to vice chair number one. Is there anyone running for vice chair number one? Stand up and say it.
Stephen Cooper, I choose to run.
Okay, Stephen Cooper. Anyone else? Roz, Dr. Roz? Stand up and say it. It'll be official.
I'm running.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay, next we'll move to vice chair number two. Is anyone running for vice chair number two? And we have someone.
We do have someone, I believe.
So we have a member who is excused who, per the bylaws, Patrick Martinez, per the bylaws, can send in a notification of nomination of himself because he's excused tonight. So Patrick Martinez is running. Anyone else running for vice chair number two? Okay.
Daniel, I'd like to nominate myself to run for vice chair number two.
Okay, Tom Matusas is running for vice chair number two. Okay. It is ranked choice voting. Is that okay? And I mean, this is the district where lots of people like to run. Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that out loud. Okay, moving to treasurer. Anybody want to nominate themselves for treasurer? Kat Bloomfield.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we only have one nominee for treasurer.
Yeah,
I know, right? Perfect. Okay, taking nominations for secretary. Okay, awesome.
Who was that?
Right. Right.
And yes, Ryan, we did get a note from you that you are nominating yourself for secretary.
But he's here. So, yeah. Anyone else? Speak now. Sorry, I can't see everyone, so that's why I keep going like that. Okay, moving to the last but not least, parliamentarian. Anyone wants to be parliamentarian?
I'll nominate myself.
Hello? Great. Anyone? Okay, that's it. Nominations are closed.
The bylaws indicate that those people who wish to run for an office are allowed 2 minutes to address the full membership of the board. The two candidates, the chair, Anatoly and Danielle, please come up, take your turns.
Okay. And I just do want, before I start, and Patrick's statement will be read into the record, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you all hear me? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I wasn't sure if I was going to run again. When I first ran last year, I was very trepidatious about running. I started a new job about a week before I was nominated, or I nominated myself, and I didn't know how that was going to go. And the year that I've spent as chair has been tough, I'm not going to lie. And I wasn't sure. When I took this role, when I wanted to be on the board and applied, when I talked to the borough president about it, and when I chose to run for chair, I did that because my concerns are about making sure that our community has enough resources and the proper representation. Those are my two concerns. And I think we are an amazing community filled with amazing people, but we have serious needs for resources, infrastructure, climate change, fighting measures, and that is my focus. That is what I want to have my focus be, but I have found that very difficult in my first year as chair because, as much as we say this is not political, there is a political element to it, and I really wanted to, I fear that I have not been successful in getting us all of the many infrastructure needs that we have. However, about 3 weeks ago now, on a beautiful fall day, I did with Kenny a walk on the waterfront of Long Island City, and we went through all the places that first inspired me to get involved on the site where Amazon was to come, the ferry landings that we know, I think we all know what I think about that. And Vernon Lake, all of those sites that, propelled me to get involved. And I thought there's still so much more to do and so much more I can do. So I don't want to just give up this opportunity. I want to keep trying and keep fighting and try to work through the things that I do find difficult about being chair and the roadblocks that are there, because it's not just about CB2, it's about everybody. And thank you. And I would really like your vote.
3, 2, 1. I was ready.
Yeah, no, 159. Give me 2 minutes.
All right. I'm not saying a word until that's going.
It was like Maury's personal clock, but apparently it's not.
All right, thank you so much, Danielle. You have my statement in front of you. And for those of you who don't know me, I've been on the board since 2019. I've done a whole bunch of stuff since then. During the challenging times of 2020, I played a pivotal role in setting up crucial tech infrastructure, created the Google sign-up sheets, created the Google Calendar, served as the inaugural chair of the technology committee, wrote a resolution against anti-Asian American hate, had many meetings with this city's Office of Technology and Innovation from a tech and CB2 internal perspective, helped the office get ready with LaGuardia Community College for an internship program, started the newsletter. If you get the newsletter in your inbox, that's me sending it, and I helped provide the office training on the use of Google PDFs, and that is just this week. And of course, this week I did other stuff too. So, yeah, I mean, I share all of Danielle's concerns for the district, but I want to run a very efficient CB2 organization as a civic body. I have 7 themes here, and of course, not just me. Some of the nominees I'm very aligned with, so we will definitely work together. There'll be a lot of delegation, no missed emails, no nothing like that. And the themes that are important are inclusion. There are plenty of people throughout the district whose voices matter just as much as ours, and they don't get to participate, including board members. A bunch of people have said this isn't fair. It's not just open meetings law. There are many other barriers. So I want to remove barriers to engagement and not just hear from the same people who always show up for decades and decades. There's many more fresh blood, energy to tap into and who need to be here. Engage new and less active members. There'll be a training document, onboarding document, all that stuff will be more transparent, visible, accountable, and I want to be the first Bangladeshi chair of this board. Thank you so much.
Okay, first vice chair, we're going to start with Dr. Roz, the incumbent. No, you're the incumbent first. Incumbents first.
Hello there. So I've been first vice chair, I've been second vice chair, I've been secretary. And those of you that know me know, of course, that I've been around for a long time, but I have a lot more time nowadays in my life, and I find myself very motivated to work on the community board as the interface between the people, as it were, and their government. Of course, their government is us, but anyway. So I would look forward to working now. You've got this document, and you can see that Anatole and I are, what was it, aligned? Okay, we are. And I really look forward to realizing a number of the procedures and things that we put into those revised bylaws. I mean, Sheila, you did a great job with that committee, and the executive committee needs to be working more. That shouldn't be an autocracy. And I think that Anatole has agreed that he will be very much more involved with that. And I don't know that there's anything much more. You'll see here what I wrote for my statement, and then in between in this little booklet is a kind of a platform that Anatole and we've talked with others as well, giving some more, putting flesh on the bones of what I just said. So thank you very much, and I guess I'm asking for your vote.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen Cooper. I think most of you know me. I've been on the board since 1988 or something like that. Sort of like Joe Biden here. I'm an attorney. And in addition to serving on the board, I'm also former chair and president of the Sunnyside Garden Community Association, still a member there. And I am president of Culture Lab in Long Island City. I have held many positions of this board. I was the first vice chair for probably 25 to 30 years. I was chair of this board for a short period when the borough president interfered with the workings of our board, and I was forced to take over that position. I never really wanted to be chair, and a few years ago I decided it was time to get other people involved, and after people stepped down, I stepped down also. But my experience as vice chair, I was the chairman of land use, I was the chairman and founder of the Arts and Culture Committee. I'm personally the chair of City Services. You know, I've been on the board a long time. There's a lot of new faces here. New faces, new blood is good. But there is a value in having someone who's been through it, who's worked with all of the agencies, who's worked with many of the developers. Roz is a wonderful person and a very good chair, and she served very well. Nothing against Roz. But I believe I could come back in and step in and do some work here that needs to get done. So therefore, I'm offering myself once again to the community board. Thank you very much.
Okay, Debbie, I have a point of information. Who's reading Patrick's statement? And do we want Tom to speak first and then read it, or the other way around?
Why don't we have Steve read Patrick's statement?
Okay. Tom, are you okay with that?
Yes. Parliamentarian. Tom goes first since he's here. And then-
I'm just getting my glasses and I have to read.
That's why I don't want to read it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Matuzis. It'd be a pleasure to serve in this capacity in a leadership role on Community Board Number 2 of Queens. I've served on the board now for about 7 years, serving in roles co-facilitating with my dear co-facilitator Sheila for the Transportation Committee for many years, and with Warren Davis's co-chair of the Unhoused Committee. My professional life, I've led human resource teams for the last 40 years, focusing on labor relations. I've been a trustee for the employee benefits funds of the Hotel Association and Hotel Trades Council for the last 20 years, managing a benefit program that provides free benefits to over 90,000 workers and family members of the hotel industry in New York City. I serve as a board of director with Newtown Creek Alliance, and part of the part of the Community Advisory Board for the shelters in Blissville. I first became involved in Community Board, looking to serve as a voice for those that may have not have had a voice. And I think I've demonstrated that over the years serving here. Again, it would be my pleasure to serve if you so choose. Thank you.
This is submitted by Patrick Martinez, candidate for second vice. Hi, community board members and residents of CB2. For the last 2 years, I've mostly worked on the former Engagement and Inclusion Committee, working to build on-ramps and expand accessibility to the community board for the wider CB2 population. This has included work on our monthly newsletter, as well as attending in-person community events whenever possible. I've marched in Sunnyside St. Pat's for All Parade under the CB2 banner. I've seen some of you at the recent Taste of Sunnyside event, and I've attended CB2 summer socials. On these occasions, I've been able to meet and chat with a number of you and learn about your motivations, inspirations, and wishes for being part of this community board. Looking forward to next year, I'm looking to expand in this work and take a more prominent role as second vice chair in 2024. I hope you will support me in that endeavor. In addition to working on the engagement and inclusion and now technology and access committees, I've more recently been working with the hybrid task force on how to provide direction and clarity on board meeting accessibility as we move into 2024. Besides these official duties and responsibilities, I've also joined numerous other community meetings throughout my time on the board, including Health, Human Services, and Education, the City Services and Public Safety Committee, and Land Use Committees. However, my service to the community board extends beyond just committee meetings. For instance, this past spring, I conducted an informal survey of empty tree plots in my corner of Woodside and Maspeth, logged their locations, and shared them with the district office. This resulted in over 150 empty tree plots being reported to the Parks Department for review and planting. This is all in the interest of learning more of the different roles that the board plays here in our corner of Queens, as well as allowing me to meet even more of the various personalities, participants, and people we find ourselves with on this community board. I mention these items in hopes of demonstrating my interest, care, and commitment to this board and community overall. One more sentence. Those who know me know I've lived in or near the district my entire life and how important the health and future of the neighborhoods are to me. Having enjoyed my time on the community board, I'm hoping to extend it into an officer's position as second vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, Kat, do you want to say a few words? You don't have an opponent. It's up to you.
Great, I talk a lot.
Okay. And then we'll go to Ryan. Okay.
Thank you very much, Danielle. I will try to keep it brief here in the spirit of things as we like them to go. It's a pleasure to put my nomination forward before all of you. I think most of you know me. If you don't, my name is Ryan. I live right here in Sunnyside. I spend my days actually working as a scientist, and that means that I spend a lot of time documenting things and respecting process and trying to do so as I work collaboratively with folks to achieve outcomes. And I think that's pretty much the approach that we have to take here, right, in achieving the core of what we seek to do with this board. All right, is that better? All right, perfect. So yeah, just keeping it quite brief, I want to say the tradition of this board and the service that it contributes to the community is one that I deeply respect, and I am so excited about the future that the board has before it with the bylaws that have been put into place, the inclusion and the engagement that I think is going to keep growing from that. And so I'm eager to support it in a role as secretary to build on the work that Dr. Roz and Anatol have done in that role, and to team up with the board office in doing so, so that we can achieve the mission as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So with that, I too will humbly be grateful for your vote next month. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. And Kello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Akel Thomas. Have I not?
You can pull the microphone out if you want to make it easy for yourself.
Wonderful. Okay. I think I'll just back up as well. Mr. Stephen Cooper, thank you for getting out the way so I can fill this position. And here's a little background about last year. It was created The parliamentarian position was created last year. It's something that I would love to be a part of. It's something that it's a bit of the fabric of this body, right? Understanding our bylaws, understanding what is the other document? I mentioned it last year. The charter, the New York Charter. Understanding those two documents, it's part of our fabric. It's something that I would love to dive into. It's something that I know we don't use extensively, but I definitely would like to be able to teach it, internalize it, and then not only, use it for within our body as, main community board, but also on the executive team, and then see how what that's like. Just a little bit of background. I ran for that position against Mr. Stephen with just the hopes of just trying to do something just a little bit. It was just my first here in the community board last year. And I also had a birthday a week before the, I'll say the elections, or before we chose who was going to be filling those positions. So I was just like, please let me have this. But I knew I was filling some wonderful shoes. And I'm going up against an attorney. I am not an attorney, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to be that. It's something I would aspire to be. Thank you. That is my time. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Okay, that is it. That is Sheila.
All right, it's an important question because we're going to consider this for the vote next month. Where are people located in the district? Just thinking about diversity for myself.
Yes, that is very true. I spend a lot of time talking about this with the borough president. So I am in Long Island City, as you know, and I will actually, I'm just going to ask Anatole, you're in Woodside?
3 blocks away.
Okay.
I live down the street from Stephen.
Yeah, I live down the street from Ross. We both live in Sunnyside.
Woodside, Sunnyside, okay.
What's the neighborhood?
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
Okay.
Sunnyside Gardens, actually.
Okay.
I live in Woodside.
Okay, Tom.
Actually, other Long Island City.
We are one Long Island City.
But still 11101.
Yeah, still vote.
We are one.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside, okay, and
3.5 blocks away.
the color.
Woodside.
Woodside. And Patrick, yeah. Woodside or Masba? Woodside, okay. Okay.
That be included to send to everybody who isn't here.
Debbie, can we include that to send to everyone who's not here? Where everybody lives in the district? We will send it out. The office will send it out. Okay. Okay, so with that.
I think there's a question.
So how do I get the newsletter?
You sign up for the newsletter, and I will. Debbie, can we send out the link to the link to sign up to the newsletter to the board?
Yeah, I'd love to get it too.
After.
We don't even get it.
Yeah, I don't.
I've signed up for our emails multiple times, so I think you have to take a look at that exactly. There's a problem with that because the community board always doesn't even get rid of the clerk.
I think we have to talk to do it again. So that'll be one more time. I'll talk to do it.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to now turn the mic over to Debbie for the district manager's report. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go quickly because we have to be out of here by 10:30.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you all for your hard work. Being community board members is not easy. And you all work really hard and tirelessly, and I want to thank you, each and every one of you. I've worked with all of you for over 17 and a half years. We're going on 18. And Mary Ann and my staff are incredible. So we all work together for the good of the community, and we want to say thank you. Kat did an amazing job on the budget. She worked really, really hard, and thank you for all the hard work. And pulling your committee together, it wasn't easy. So a couple of announcements. That EEO policy, I have to do the housekeeping. That's my job. It's the bad job. It's not the fun job, but somebody's got to keep the books and records, and that's our job. So saying that, if you haven't filled out that EEO policy, Mary Ann and I have it here, please sign it and give it back to us so we can be 100% compliant. Borough Hall is looking for that, and then they yell at us for you guys not signing it and giving it back. So the marathon is Sunday. This Sunday, there's going to be street closures and all kinds of stuff. Go out, cheer everybody on, be safe. We want to thank Detective Diaz from the 108. He is moving on. Yes, he informed us this morning that he is moving on. We thank him for his hard work in our community, but he's not going that far. He's going to be in Patrol Borough, Queens North. I don't know exactly what he's going to be doing, but he is. But let's congratulate him, wish him well, and thank him for working tirelessly in our community and keeping us all safe and taking all of these issues and making sure that they're known to the right NCOs. They appear at the cabinet meetings, so I want to make sure that we all congratulate him. I attended a small business meeting with other district managers to talk about our liquor license, and our liquor license committee, spearheaded by Steve and co-chaired by Danielle. They've done an amazing job, and we do the stipulations and we get them out. And SLA really respects this community board for the hard work that they do and the respect that we have for the businesses and that the businesses have for the community board, because we vet, we talk, we try to get them if there's issues and nuisance abatements and all kinds of stuff. So small businesses kind of trying to look at maybe streamlining it, and all boards doing the same, not all boards do the same. So it was just a conversation. So I wanted to share that with all of you. We have a DDC project within the confines of CB2 right now, 37th Street, Van Dam. It's a ped ramp project, a compliance project. That's at the curbs at the end of the street where you have the ped ramps going down. They are in with our community. It's a 2-year project, and they're paving our corners. Right now, they're near 48th Avenue from 38th Street to 40th Street. So I wanted to let everybody know, if you see that project, that's what it is. And if you have a corner that needs a ped ramp, let the office know, let myself, Mary Ann know, so we can let DDC know. We may not get it into this project, but we can get it in somewhere and get DOT to add ped ramps into the list or whatever. So, sure.
37th Street.
It's 37th Street and Van Dam, and right now they're at 48th, from 38th Street to 40th Street. Yeah. Send it to me. You're good at that. So you're very good at that. So we appreciate that. Yes, we want those updates. Complaints, CB2 had 18 this month again, from October 2nd to current. The top complaints that were called in was Department DOT, signage, singles, potholes, NYPD, 4 graffiti, vehicles blocked, sidewalks, and prostitution. At my cabinet meeting, we talk about it. They cannot tell us. We've given them a list of prostitution locations on Roosevelt and a few others throughout the district. They cannot tell us district details because it's under surveillance. Vice is in there, and it's something that they monitor, so they won't give us the details until they close it or something happens. So I wanted to give you that update since that was brought up earlier. I would like to just say something. It's part of my reminder that December you're going to vote for an executive board here. Everyone works really hard on the executive board to make sure the minutes are done and to make sure that we all communicate and we talk and we work together. We are city government. We are not a civic group. We are not a community group. You are the first line of government. And what I want to say, and I want to say this in the nicest, kindest way I can, is that a lot of people want to change rules and regulations. It's all great, but you can't do it at the office level. Charter needs to be changed. I agree with some of the policies and conversations behind the scenes. I agree with some of the ideas and the idealistic, but I and the office don't make those changes. We have to comply to audits, to city government rules. We have to use the tools that the city gives us, because we are the first line of government and we are the city agent. Our job, myself and my staff, is to maintain the books and records like when we voted tonight. So I want to make that clear. It is not the office versus the community. We all work together to make things happen. I have a once-a-month cabinet meeting. I bring up your complaints, but I want to make sure that when you want to change government, change it at the charter level and go to the people that can make the changes. So I wanted to just add that in to make sure that you're well aware of that. And to remind everybody, turn your clocks, change the batteries on your carbon monoxide detectors. They don't last 10 years. We have found that out. Election day is November 7th. Get out and vote. It's your right. It's your duty. Veterans Day is November 10th, and Thanksgiving Day is the 23rd. Election Day, Veterans Day, and Thanksgiving, the city office board is closed. We fall back an hour this week. Get some rest, enjoy. Our next meeting is December 7th, and thank you all for being great partners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. City planning. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bree. I am one of your community liaisons along with Teal. I just want to give you some updates, an announcement, and some reminders. First, starting off with an application that's going to the City Planning Commission in about a week is the DOT site selection and acquisition at 4725 34th Street. Then as far as City of Yes text amendments go, the zoning for economic opportunity proposal was referred out to all 59 community boards on October 30th. Within the 9 days preceding from the 30th, you'll receive a complete text amendment package. Once you have received that, then the 60-day review period will commence. And I just want to highlight that we do have some literature if you're interested in some information regarding this proposal, but also just feel free to reach out to us for support and for coordination in this referral process. We're here to help you regarding this. And lastly, an announcement is regarding our One LIC planning kickoff. We would love to see you all there on Monday at Culture Lab in Long Island City. I will have the digital flyer on my phone if you want to come by to the back and RSVP. You can also go to licplan.nyc to RSVP there. We would really appreciate it if you can RSVP so we kind of have an idea of how many of you all will attend, and please make it out there. This is a really important beginning process for this study, and any questions and concerns will definitely be heard. It's going to be an open house. We're going to have different tables where you can participate. So please make sure that you can be there at 6:30 p.m. at Culture Lab. Yes.
Thank you. Preliminary question. Can't answer tonight. I'm very much interested in understanding who drew the map for One Long Island City that excluded much of Long Island City.
Yeah, so can you all hear me? Is that okay? Okay. There's no singular methodology or process for determining the beginning of a study area at DCP. It's highly dependent on each study in and of itself. Also, this kind of study area that we're looking at so far, there's kind of some layers to it. First of all, the the kind of the focus study area where we're looking at land use actions being applicable, it is not set in stone at this point. This is just the beginning, and the kickoff meeting is where you can definitely express these concerns. And you don't need to feel like this is the end all be all. It's only the beginning. Also, even though there are kind of more focused areas where we look at land use actions specifically, it doesn't mean that's the only thing that we're planning for in this process. We, as a city-led process, we have the ability to do neighborhood-wide planning. And so investments can occur outside of that focus study area.
Thank you.
Sheila?
Okay, just since this does impact Queensbridge and the sites, is there going to be another public meeting there? Are they also being invited to ours? Because it would be nice for us to have some cross-neighborhood exchange.
Yes, absolutely. They're definitely invited, and we really hope to get turnout from Queensbridge at any and all events, and we keep them in mind throughout our engagement process. We also will be reaching out to them directly and engaging with their tenants associations, with Jacob Reese Settlement House. Those communication lines are open. We haven't had a lot of momentum just yet, but I can maybe have more specifics to report back at a later time.
And the council member did send it out, so like in many different ways, so hopefully that will help.
I could also vouch that I personally went to Queensbridge to engage with like the offices, the north and the south offices. We have flyered in the area. We have handed out flyers as well. And Queensbridge was one of the first destinations that we made sure to try and inform. So we are hoping that they will be able to make it.
We have one question over here, and Kat has a mic.
Can you expand on what is included in this planning? You said that it's not just something, and then there's more things.
Yeah, absolutely. So at DCP, we do focus on land use and zoning because that's what's in our purview. And so that really encapsulates just the regulation around what you can build at any given lot in New York City. So that's a big part. That's our focus. It's like kind of like when I say something like a focus area, it's mostly about regulating what kind of development can happen there. But in a city study, when we're looking at a larger area to potentially rezone, then that has much more of an impact on a community. And so as a city to begin with, and as public servants, we want to engage you all and have a process and have your voices heard in this process so that we're not just choosing for you what happens. And so that's one aspect. And that's like a really important aspect just of planning in general, is like at our core, we really do strive to try to get voices heard. And then more aspects are capital investments. So if we're allowing different types or larger developments in an area, that then has those impacts on the streets, on sewer systems, on schools, and we need to have a measure of those impacts so that we can respond to them, so that we're not making choices that will then be detrimental to your community, like essential services of a community.
Yeah.
And that, I would say another aspect is like public realm improvements. So these might not be as essential as having sufficient school seats or, transit systems and transportation that works. It's also about like, do you want street trees? Do you want different road configurations for, so that pedestrians can cross the street easier? How many bike lanes do you want and where do you want them, as contentious as that is? So it's a much larger package that we can look at that typically a lot of kind of singular land use owners don't have purview over because they just don't have that kind of relationship with DOT or the ability to ask for city investment.
So the study is multiple departments working together to look at what the community needs?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
and that coordination is a really key and like significant part of being able to do holistic planning.
And then are they going to be I'm gonna keep asking about it, but these sewers, like, I mean, like, if they're looking at the sewers and they're like realizing that there's too many toilets, right? Like, then that would be the place for people to get the sewage system upgraded so that more toilets could be added.
So we too are doing our best. We have reached out to DEP.
I just want to know that that's part of the study. I'm not trying to like be like, why don't you do it?
No, it's 100% part of the study. I don't think they're going to be there on November 6th. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we can capture someone. But down the road, they're such an essential part of this study in particular that yes, they will be at the table.
Do you have community boards like doing like recommendations from the committees of like the different committees to say like, for the example of the environment community, like these are the recommendations that we have. Like, would it be helpful if I send you the capital and expense priorities?
I haven't thought about it in such like a distinct way. I mean, I don't see why not, because we'll definitely like accept any and all information. I think it's more a matter of just like distilling it through kind of the venues that we have.
And like, can it be in written form? Like what is provided to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. I just kind of want to touch base with our engagement team to see how that kind of filters into how we process information is all. Okay, great.
Thank you. Tom again. Just I appreciate the land use, right? You say you're identifying this area in the map to determine land use. What we don't appreciate in areas excluded is the linkage of this land use with infrastructure, with sewers, with green space, with trees. Makes us think that the only way you get these infrastructure things, these trees, these parks, these green space, is to be part of the land use area. And thirdly, what we see is the area identified is the area where big real estate exists already. So to us, this is just another gift back to big real estate, where they're going to see the trees, the parks, the green space, the sewers, and the areas outside, many of them the manufacturing areas, will continue to be marginalized and get nothing. This is what we see from your marketing and what we see in the press. And this is our problem. Thank you.
So I could speak to a few of those points. I mean, first and foremost, I respect your perspective, and please bring that to the meetings, our public meetings, so that we can talk about this further and see, what we can do to help alleviate those concerns. In this particular study, we are including the industrial area in Long Island City, just south of Queensbridge. And so this is not solely a waterfront study that is only dealing with the private landowners there. This does include really big aspects of economic development and workforce development for the IBZ and the broader Long Island City area, because we're not trying to just. I mean, there's two aspects. One is we kind of have to work with what we have, and there are private landowners on the waterfront, and we are in a housing crisis. And so that's one big aspect of this study that gives us the kind of the go ahead with the mayor's team to pursue it. Only the waterfront, it is also this adjacent IBZ, considering all the connections and synergy of this mixed use neighborhood.
That include the area on the other side of the tracks in Long Island City. Let's go.
We're not looking at that big of a scope right now. We kind of just need to,
So the haves continue to get, the have-nots continue to not get. That's what we say.
I hear you, and
Just saying, that's what we say.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm definitely here to listen, and I do hear you. For right now, we do see this area as being kind of what we can bite off and chew and handle at the moment. It doesn't mean that it precludes any study in the future of other areas.
And despite the promises in 2018 by the past administration, when they put 4 shelters in Elizabeth, promising us infrastructure development in the area. Point is what we say in Elizabeth. You know what point is? Nothing.
Okay, I hear you.
sorry, that we spoke to Nydia Vasquez's office, and she iterated to us that there were $1 trillion allocated to the various states. So here we are asking that money be allocated to particular communities who have been underserved. So we do know that the money is there, not necessarily $1 trillion, but it's filtering down from the federal government to the state and eventually to the city. So we don't want to be an afterthought. We want to be included to sit at the table now. As Tom mentioned, we've been marginalized in other communities within our community board has been marginalized, and we continue to see the same players, mostly those who have the votes, and we don't have the votes, but we don't want to continue to hear equity, fair share, and inclusion, but that's not happening. So we appreciate your ear, but we don't want to hear ears anymore. We want to see action. So thank you again.
And if I could just add, it's not like it's contained. If we do something in one community, it impacts the other part of the community. Like every neighborhood is interconnected, certainly in New York, or certainly in Queens where we're high density. So it just does seem to me that it should be all of Long Island City because we are all connected. Anybody else have any?
I have a question.
Exactly. Anybody have any?
I have the mic. Hello. Are there, a couple questions. Are there hypotheses right now or things that you're prioritizing as part of this planning?
We will share draft guiding principles at the meeting on November 6th. And as I said, we're kind of just starting this process. We'll still be sharing things online because I know not everyone can come to one specific meeting that we hold. We'll also have various meetings over months and months in the future. These are very much draft guiding principles because we haven't gotten community feedback on them yet. It's just a place that we want to start to have a conversation. And generally they include topics such as affordable housing, economic development, resilience on the waterfront, as well as infrastructure needs throughout the community. And that's what I can remember right in this moment, but there's like 6 of them that we will share in the near future when we've had a chance to like introduce the study more as a whole to you all.
When do you anticipate this will be finished?
I'm sorry?
When will the study be completed?
In total, we're looking at a March 2025 certification date. And so that would be when the ULERT process starts. And so there's kind of multiple, there's a lot of phases in the study, and we will share a timeline in the near future. So we'll have this big community engagement phase in the beginning, and then we will have to kind of come back into DSB and process the work and do environmental review. And that doesn't mean that we're closed off. It's just a different phase of the study, and then we'll still have a ULERT process.
No, I'm not done.
The community engagement phase was to run through June 2024. That's what I thought. That was the timeline.
Approximately, that does sound correct to me. We're working our milestones out as we speak, and we can have more information soon on that, so I can give you a better specific answer.
Has a study ever been completed for Long Island City?
Yeah, the last study was in 2001, and it was the establishment of the special Long Island City mixed use district. There hasn't been this type of a study though since that time.
Is that publicly available?
Yes, I'm not totally sure exactly what reports are available. Actually, I take that back. That's one of the biggest ones in community District 2, though. We have had, I think, 2 big rezonings come to mind. The special Southern Hunters Point District. I wasn't here in 2008 at that time, so I don't know exactly how that came about, but typically those start with studies.
Okay. And I guess the question is, how has reality aligned with what was published in those studies? That's what I am curious about. And how, as we go through this process,
can we use that to anticipate, the time investment and what we can expect? So that's something I would hope that you'd bring on during the session. And yeah, unfortunately, I can't attend on Monday, so it'd be great to know about other opportunities to get involved and to learn more as this progresses. But I think, understanding like the benchmarking of how close we got or what we didn't anticipate 20 plus years ago versus reality, I think that is helpful for grounding. Thank you.
Okay.
With community engagement, since you can't make it on Monday, I just want to highlight again the website, licplan.nyc. Yeah, licplan.nyc, because there we're going to have lots of ways to engage as well. So if you can't make it in person, you're going to have lots of access to different information throughout the whole study process. It's going to be very interactive, so I do suggest you check it out whenever you can.
And we have one more from John.
Hello, thanks for being here tonight. In the quote unquote big community engagement phase, the very diverse ethno-linguistic communities, Long Island City, Western Queens, how many non-English native speaking communities or languages are you translating your materials in? Is it only English or is there more other languages?
So at this time, as we've looked at the demographics of the area, especially focused kind of around the study area and context area of that kind of western portion of LIC, we obviously English, we've also translated into Spanish, simplified Chinese, and Bangla.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're planning on bringing interpreters to meetings so there can be live translations, because we just don't quite have capacity to translate everything into multiple languages. And so we'll provide all the resources we can.
This has to be the last question though.
Sorry. I'm also just wondering if you do it by neighborhood, these large studies, and is Woodside on this list of rezoning / what's the timeline that you do have the zoning studies for different neighborhoods?
We don't have a list or a timeline in terms of kind of moving around all of Community District 2. It varies over time. We can start with this study. I think one thing I really encourage you to do, especially over the long term, is tell me and tell Bree and tell us which areas you do want to study, because that was part of how this study came about. This is an area that is very active and has had so many planning efforts that didn't make it to the finish line. And what we have heard from this board and the community is that you want holistic planning. And so that's something that can certainly apply to any neighborhood in Community District 2. And the reason why it does take time though. And it's also about the administration's changing and kind of politicians going in different directions. And as an agency, we're responding to both sides of that coin of the more public portion and that kind of internal city goings on.
Thank you. Thank you. I will see you on Monday night. I hope many of us will. Okay, Christine, we have two votes. So Christine is going to come up and shepherd us through the two land use votes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, yep. Okay. Here you go, all you.
So you all have the land use minutes. So basically tonight we have to take action on the two items that we had public hearings on today. Sorry. The first is the DEP site selection and acquisition which is a lease at 2402 49th Avenue. We heard this at the Land Use Committee, and the committee voted unanimously in favor of the application. I don't know if there's discussion, comments.
To accept the land use recommendations to support the DEP city-driven acquisition of leased property.
Laura.
Is there any
Discussion, yeah.
Doing it
Does the,
Wait, there might wait for discussion.
blah, 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 exclude suggesting any green, DEP with green makes
Hey,
sense?
Tom, so this is an interior lease. I mean,
I'm talking about the Borden Avenue area. That's exterior, adjacent to the river.
no, yeah, I understand. What green measures for an interior?
Plant a tree. Plant a tree outside. It's all cement right now. The DEP pump station was all cement.
But could they negotiate in the lease?
Sheila said, or someone said that Steve said they could incorporate greenery. It was an excuse. Yeah.
You can't incorporate it.
Yes. I can't understand how DEP has no green on their site. DEP is supposed to be a friend of the environment. It makes no sense to me.
So may I assume that a friendly amendment?
Yes.
The motion accepted?
Yes.
That's part of it.
Thank you.
So just to clarify what that would be, you would ask the DEP request of the landlord of the building that they make exterior improvements.
We would require
of the
that
lease.
DEP makes it a condition of illegal.
And what improvements are we asking them to make?
Plant a tree or two.
Green on the outside.
For green.
Make some green stuff.
I would not accept making them make it a requirement to do green roof. The only thing to say.
Yeah, I would limit it to the,
You could put it on a
something.
A requirement of their lease to provide greenery in and around, as part of the facility that they're renting.
A requirement of their lease negotiations with the landlord for greenery in and around the facility that they are renting, which may or may not include the exterior surrounding area and/or the parking lot.
Is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
So that is the motion. Second.
Accepted.
Are we saying this is a condition for our approval, though? If they don't do this, then it's a conditional no for us?
That is the proposal. However, they can go ahead. I mean, we are advisory.
I have a discussion. Yeah. As having been part of land use, having had so many city agencies come to us for so often, and they tell us they cannot tell us or do not provide us with the information on the lease. It makes it very difficult to vote to do it if we don't know that, because I don't want to see the city throwing away money. So the question is, how could we not request that, require that before we vote on it?
I don't know what the protocols have been in the past. Did we ask them at land use?
In the past, land use has requested it. I think we're about 0 for 40. That's former chairman. Yeah, we lost all. But we have requested it every single time, and there have been occasions when we refused to accept and approve because of it.
And our review would involve our assuming that we had understanding of current market, rental. So do you want to incorporate a request in?
No, I would not make it part of the motion. I may oppose the motion for that reason. That's what I'm saying.
Then why wouldn't you make it part of the motion as opposed to just opposing them? I don't understand.
Okay, I'd be willing to amend, I'd be willing if you are for a friendly amendment that says that they will produce the lease before our approval takes effect. That doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. If we're going to vote on it tonight, we're going to vote on it without the lease. That's all I'm pointing out.
I want to have a point of discussion that we can table it until they would take such time to provide a lease. That's.
Well, this is a ULURP action, so we actually have to make a motion within the 60 days.
But can I just make a suggestion here? So the DEP presentation mentioned that DCAS does the negotiations, which they do for all city agencies. So it's not actually DEP that does it, it's DCAS that does it. So I'd like to propose making our recommendation for green measures outside of a DCAS lease building to broaden that and make that a formal part of any negotiations that DCAS does on behalf of the city, not just for this project, but for all projects.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to add that this isn't necessarily something that we would want to delay, given the vital water quality testing and the importance of clean drinking water and testing the water at the wastewater treatment plants. So I would just insist that we vote tonight to let this move forward.
But we can still add the clause under our approval that we recommend that DCAS incorporate green improvements to the building, that be negotiated as part of any substantial lease of city space within a facility. Okay.
Inside and or out.
Yeah, well, the exterior, improvements would be primarily exterior. I mean, just to continue the discussion, I think that, the addition of, from the point of view of what DEP is doing, they're consolidating the facilities in a much more transit accessible part of the city, and they're adding sidewalk traffic to, and kind of feet on the ground and workers in an area where that's actually, I think, quite beneficial to the neighborhood. So there are some,
Can I move to call the question?
Yeah.
Well, so should we just clarify is the part about DCAS adding greenery part of the ULURP motion, or is that a separate resolution?
It's part of our.
It's part of it? Okay.
Yeah, it's part of our approval, which we've done on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So call the question.
Yeah.
All those in favor of calling the question?
Nellie? Oh, thank you. Nellie? No, you have to say yes or no. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Nellie.
Yes means yes on approval.
Yes, correct. Anatole?
Yes.
John Bahia?
Yes.
Anne Marie Benkowski?
Yes.
Kat Bloomfield?
Yes.
Danielle Brecker?
Yes.
Carlos is absent, Tanya's absent, Osmond's absent. Steve Cooper?
Yes.
Warren Davis?
Yes.
Maury Gallinoy?
Yes.
Dr. Rosamond Giannusis?
Yes.
Camille Gray?
Yes.
Kenny Greenberg?
Yes.
Christine Hunter?
Yes.
John Khan is absent. Diana Kutchler?
Yes.
Parmeet Kumar?
Yes.
Chimichang Lama? Sheila Lewandowski?
Yes.
Benjamin Lucas?
Yes.
Tom Matusitz?
Yes.
Eric Nauberg?
Yes.
Riley Owens?
Yes.
Amaya Saab?
Yes.
Laura Shepherd?
Yes.
Ryan Smith?
Yes.
Lauren Springer?
Yes.
Kunchak Tashi? Absent. Agnella Thomas? Mary Torres absent. Letitia Vasquez? Kalseng Yang Sao? Absent. Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Okay. On the dual street renaming, the land use committee voted in favor with the additional recommendation, and I think this is actually very important, that it include a plaque on the building about the radio station. Steve, so do I have a motion? Okay. Steve, where did we come down? Can we do it as a show? What? We can do this as a show of hands.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Steve says we can do this as a show of hands.
Yes, you can. Who made the motion? Who seconded? I'm sorry, I was.
Kenny made the motion. Who seconded?
Maury, we got you.
Did you vote? Yes.
Okay.
So it's unanimous.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Okay. I want to say is really a recommendation, and that is, I think these two, you all got this notice of these two planning studies that are being undertaken simultaneously, which is kind of amazing. The one in, Long Island City, and then the one up in Woodside on Northern Boulevard and Roosevelt Avenue. That's really a lot of meetings, and both studies are really charged with reaching out to the community beyond the community boards. So I think we can't assume that they're going to come to us, well, I know we can't, that we are necessarily going to be informed of every aspect of the study unless we engage with the study. So my recommendation would be that we form a sort of working group for each study made up of people from all our different committees who are interested in that particular study. And then that group can sort of follow the study and report back to the board. So as the committees meet, or if you know that you're interested in one or the other study, maybe at the next meeting, we can just form those two groups.
Okay, we are not going through committee reports tonight because it is time. Okay, Sheila.
More studies.
In addition to all the other studies, right now, the City Hall has come down with new rules and new guides for open streets, open restaurants, and open culture. And the public comment period closes November 20th for the new rules and regulations, and they are complex. Yeah, I know. And there's a hearing on November 20th. So you can go and sign up for the hearing. There is a way to submit written comments, and there you can see written comments on the sites. But it's just really important that people participate. Open culture, open restaurants, and open streets, and the moratorium on street fairs. All four of those things are at the same hearing on November 20th.
The week of Thanksgiving?
We don't vote on any of it.
But isn't that the week of Thanksgiving? They're having a hearing?
Yes. Okay. Well, we don't have time for me to get totally into it, but what I will say is, and Chocolate Factory participated, did a weekend-long Queensboro Dance Festival has done it. It's where the nonprofit arts group in a community used to be site-based, and now one of the things we fought for is for groups that don't have necessarily a site partner to get permission to take over parts of a street for a certain number of hours to do free cultural programming. And it's working with that neighborhood, working with the street, working with the local businesses. There are things about it that many of us who have fought for it to be continued didn't get, but DOT and the city was trying to fold it into open streets, which was hard for small nonprofit culturals to participate in. So now we have both. So the extension of open culture, there isn't anybody in the cultural world that isn't happy about it. But the open restaurants is really significant changes where, a lot of restaurants they're gonna have to take them down at different parts of the year. They have to be more open. So public comments for that. A lot of people are very upset about the moratorium continuing on street fairs. So that's something to comment on. And also the continuation expansion of open streets in general. So all of these things, it would take me too long to read all of the text. So I highly, if we can please get these links out, and if folks look at them, read them, provide your comments, and or if you can go testify, please do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Sheila. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Seconded.
Any arguments?
You're adjourned.
Actually, can I just, very brief,
Do you need a 4? I can go to 4.
Hold on, one for Lawrence Virgilio Playground. So, Wednesday, well, no, they're coming to the full board. They already came to us. We put them through the ringer at the committee. I think our comments were well taken. So hopefully we like what we see, but just want everybody to know about that.
That means goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
I think we'll all see each other.
You don't want to, you don't want to.
Yeah, sorry.